What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor Now podcast. My name is Randy Bruce. It has been an eventful week. Just got back from New York. Bryson Wynn presents. It was an incredible time watching the finale of season 44. If my voice gets a little raspy tonight, you're going to have to excuse me because I caught something while I was in New York. But I am prepared for the longest podcast we've ever done. 3-hour finale special where we will be having a bunch of podcasts and Survivor guests join us to break down the finale, season 44 as a whole, as well as looking ahead for season 45. We'll let you know how we felt about all the castaways, look back on some of our greatest moments from this past season. It's basically going to be like a live reunion show for us. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're just here tonight to interact with you guys as well. So go ahead and hop into the Ancient Voices chat. We would love to hear your opinions on all the topics we're going to be discussing. But I cannot do this alone. So first off, I have to introduce my partner in crime tonight. Let me get him on here. Abraham from season 41. He will be with me all evening as my co-host. Abraham, how are you doing, man? Are you ready? Are you prepared to go for 3 hours here?
First of all, we went so hard in New York, man. It was a lot going on in New York. A lot of great fun. Great to meet all the other Survivor contestants. The players, the old alumni was in the house. Hey, I'll be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Big Brother that came in the house, Amazing Race that showed up and represented. But man, Bryson Wynn, y'all really say y'all present. You know what? The reunion show was a staple of the conclusion of every Survivor season until we got to 41. And we knew the pandemic might have impacted. So 42, we never got a reunion show. Then we realized that wasn't going to be the norm anymore. But Bryson Wynn have picked up where CBS has left off at and brought together the family and just as a support. You got the players for that season there, but you got another group of players from previous seasons in the house supporting, reunion, hanging out, having a good time, 2-day event. Appreciate the invite. Always supportive of the Bryson Wynn present. Hey, man, let's get into this 3 hours because we got a lot of stuff to unpack from season 44.
We have a ton, but I just have to say as well, for me personally, thank you, Bryson Wendell, for allowing us to go out and do that in New York. If you guys have never made it to a Bryson Wendell event, I can't say anymore how much you got to get out to it because they are absolutely insane. And they've been I guess you could say renewed for season 45. I saw on their Instagram, it says Bryson Wynn presents season 45 coming this fall. So they're going to have more events to go to. But yeah, it was insane. Like you said, it was like a live reunion show. The entire cast was there. It was awesome meeting the cast. And they are all amazing people. It just makes me love this cast even more. And Abraham, we have to get into really fast before we get our first guest in here. And I'm sure they'll have stuff to say about who won as well. But Yam Yam, he is our 44th winner of Survivor US. How can you can't have a more loved guy than Yam Yam win. Carolyn, a lot of people wanted Carolyn to win, but this season, I would have been happy with anyone winning.
I got a personal invite to Puerto Rico from Yam Yam's mom, so I'm packing my bags. I'm going to Puerto Rico.
Enjoying the beach and the sun.
You know what? At the live reunion show, you get to meet the family. And you get to enjoy this whole great experience with the family. But man, let me tell you something. Yam Yam presented a character on Survivor that we all wanted to see what's going to happen. From the very first promo and him saying he wanted to poop in the ocean, I was like, who is this guy? Is he going to have that same energy all the way through? And Yam Yam didn't disappoint. Carolyn didn't disappoint. Carson didn't disappoint. Lauren didn't disappoint. And all the players of season 44, definitely not a disappointment in how they handled their season. But let me tell you something, man. Just meeting their families. I was talking to Heidi's husband, and you kind of get more insight on who that person is. But we got to talk about that fire challenge. It's not now. We're not going to talk about it yet, but we're going to talk about that fire challenge.
We're going to get to it. There's a lot of hot topics that are going to be covered this season. As a whole, Abraham, before we really get into a deep dive of what took place this year as a whole. What do we think of the season? Because I thought it was a really good season. Like, I personally loved it, and this is coming off of. I think the new era just keeps getting better and better. You had 41, which
Oh yeah.
tested out for 42, which tested out for 43. I have a feeling like we're going in the right direction here because this season was so fun.
I gotta say that. Look here, I look at it from where 41 started and where 44 is ended and where 45 picks up. It's the changes and the development and the crew looking at it from the production side of the house. What can we change? What can we add? It's gonna always be a mixed pot. You're gonna be able to please some of the people half the time, half the people the other half of the time. But I think overall for season 44, they got a lot of it right. Oh, except for the sanctuary. The sanctuary needed. Come on. I think
Well,
there's other places on the island. Stop. Let's stop. Don't go to sanctuary. But outside of that little tidbit, I think it was a great season in that they made the necessary changes to give players another opportunity to be able to play the anthem of Survivor, outwit, outplay, outlast. And it was, I mean, you kicked off, tell you the truth, when you kicked off with the bird cage, I was like, okay, we got a new season going. That's a whole new ball game. The bird cage. What's in the bird cage? What can you do with the bird cage? And then we just saw some great play. Now we saw a tribe that actually started out together, actually finished together. Usually you don't even
which we
see that
haven't
many
seen in
people. Yeah.
forever.
So
Yeah.
it's been a minute. So that was good to see that. We saw some preparation play where Carson actually putting his own 3D puzzles together, practicing at home. We saw some things that we didn't see in previous seasons. So I'm really excited for how 44 ended, but I'm real excited about how 45 is gonna start.
And
But
we'll
we'll
get
get to that.
into
We'll get into that.
that a little bit later as well. Real quick, finally, before we let our guest in here, I do have to let you guys know we have a new website, survivornowpodcast.com, where you can go check out some Survivor record holders. They have every single winner of Survivor US, AU, and South Africa pictured there in like a history book type situation, as well as you see right there, Jam, his face
Jam
is
Jam.
proudly on the winners list after winning season 44. And if you guys want to come join us, if you want to become a Survivor podcaster, you can go online to survivornowpodcast.com and fill out an application and apply, and then email a 2-minute video of you basically analyzing a famous moment in Survivor history. Pick a moment, show us that you have the ability to analyze and break it all down, and email a 2-minute video to survivornowpodcast@gmail.com. So a lot of exciting news, but let's get into our guests this evening because we have a lot of them. So first off, representing the nullified take, everybody please welcome Kahuna. Chris couldn't be here with us, unfortunately, tonight, but he sent an all-star. And Kahuna, I've been so excited to speak with you. So how are you doing tonight?
Wow, what a welcome. Thank you so much, Randy, Abraham. Really good to be here. Unfortunately, Chris isn't able to join. You got the JV team, but I feel like
No,
I'm
never
stepping
that.
up to the
Never that.
varsity squad here, and I'm really, really honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, of course. When he said, unfortunately, I can't make it, but I'll send Kahuna, I was like, I'm good. Like, this is, I love the work you guys do at the Nullified Take. If you guys have never checked them out, go do it because they make some incredible content. Kahuna, I just have to right away ask what you thought about season 44 as a whole. Go ahead and spill all the tea. Did you like it? Was it all right for you? What are you thinking?
I think the perfect phrase to sum it up is absolute banger season. I made that up. First person that said it, that's me. Look, I enjoyed it a lot. I'm coming from a very unique perspective because unlike many Survivor diehards out there, I kind of fell off a little bit. I watched 41, Abraham.
There we
I
go.
haven't watched 42 and I haven't watched 43.
You need to see that.
And I don't know if that did me good or not because I really enjoyed it and covering the season, doing all that sort of thing. I just hear people sort of not necessarily bad talking, but I haven't heard a lot of good things about 42 and 43. And
Yeah,
I came into 44 going, "Ooh, I don't know about this new era that everyone's talking about." Like when 41 came out, it wasn't a new era, it was just the new season, right? So then I missed 42, missed 43, coming to 44, and I'm like, I'm hungry to get back into Survivor again. I took a little bit of a break because there's a million reality TV shows and content that I just dump into my brain constantly. So I was like, okay, I'll come into 44, and I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. I mean, it started out with being a little bit taken aback by the multitude of twists, the million idols, all that sort of thing. But once they kind of found their footing and let it go a little bit in the second half of the season, especially post-merge, let the players play, man, did it pick up. And I think primarily the main thing that I loved about this season is just the cast. Like when I was watching the reunion and I'm seeing Jeff interview these people, and you go across the entire jury and they're all great. Like
Every
they're
single one.
all great. And I to have a threesome like Tika, like where every single one of them is just completely charismatic and originally unique in their own way and just played the game in such a different way, and they just shine on TV. It was brilliant. I did love the season overall. Absolutely.
Hey, I do not like. I agree. You need a good break from time to time because after Survivor Australia and now Survivor 44, Abraham was like, "Yo, when are we getting into the off season coverage? When are we?" Because we talked about like covering a season in the off season, and I flat out told him, "I'm like Abraham, I need like 3 weeks. We're taking a 3-week Survivor break after this, and then we'll come back later on in the off season." But yeah, I mean, this cast was electric, and you summed it up perfectly. Where I felt like the first half of the season was like the start was really good when they were introducing the birdcage idol. Wow, this is interesting. And even I thought like the quests or whatever you want, the journeys, I guess I should say, I thought they were even entertaining. If we have to have them, they kind of switched it up. We saw our first tribe swap in a while, which I thought was really fun. And then you had that like middle area where it's like, ooh, this season's going downhill. That episode 7, I believe it was, that was like my least favorite episode. One of my least favorite episodes I've seen in a long time. I was done with Survivor. And then after that, wow, we hit as the Castaway says for next season, hit the gas because they kind of went back to what made Survivor so entertaining. Not as many advantages, not as many twists, and just great, solid gameplay. And I think it just proves for seasons coming up, cut back on the twists and the advantages because you had such an electric cast. And once they were able to just play, boy, did they play. And it was so entertaining.
Sometimes you got to give them a kickstart. I think that as viewers, we want to see a little bit of the old way. You know, for seeing Kahuna, you saw season 41 for us. Well, coming into season 41, our expectations was it was going to be like the old Survivor. 2 tribes, 39 days. You know, you're going to go hungry. You know, strength is going to be an asset. Cunning is going to be an asset. Building relationships is going to be an asset. Well, when we got there to the island, you know what they said? No, that's not the game you're playing. So we were like, oh, okay, well, what's going to happen? So, but from 41 to 44, you see the graduation of the whole new era of Survivor happen. You see where the mistakes were made. You see where things were changed. You kind of see how it morphed into 44, which now you got a better polished product. And it's like they played. And the cast will always make up how good the show is going to be. You're never going to be able to say it's going to be good because if you got a bad cast, you got the bad season. And we saw some good players. I'm gonna give a shout out to Carson because I didn't practice any of the games because I didn't have them. You know, you want to practice parts of the challenge and be prepared, but I'm not printing anything in 3D.
Are we a fan moving forward, Kahuna? I got to get your take on this. Are we a fan of practicing challenges? Because we saw Carson. I was sitting right next to his family, and on that first immunity challenge that we saw the other night, there was a puzzle at the very end, and I said, if Carson makes it to the puzzle, either first or second, he's winning this thing. And he absolutely killed the puzzle again, demolishing it. Are we a fan of like, yeah, practice before you come on the show, or do we need to start getting some more unique challenges in there, or a mixture of both, if you want to say it like that?
I'm sorry, I don't want to mix it up. I want you to come out there and play. I want you to be genuinely shocked when you see that challenge. Like, what am I going to do? And if you can prepare for it, it kind of takes away from that unknown part. Now you got an advantage that everybody's going to start trying to gravitate to. Once they get the call, they're on the show. I got to go out and I got to reach out and try to get a 3D puzzle. That's not Survivor. I don't take anything away from Carson and how he played the game and that preparation, because I looked at every season leading up to when I was on the show. But at the same time, I want the challenge. I want all the smoke. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think there's, if I can just be super lame and go back to the 90s for a really weird catchphrase that people probably haven't heard in a while, is don't hate the player, hate the game, right?
Yeah, that's a good catchphrase for
Yeah, that's how lame I am. But yeah, it's not on the players to have that variety. And if you are going out on Survivor and you get that call and you're one of those absolute rare once in a lifetime people, then absolutely do everything you can to prepare. Do everything you can. And like the people that go out and, they kind of are just taking in the experience. They're not they usually don't win. And people like Carson who can prepare in some form or another, if you have that opportunity, and Abraham, you said the games didn't exist back for you to be able to do that preparation. But look, if they're going to repeat the games, if they're going to be lazy in rolling out the same things and allow that to happen, then every single player should want to take whatever edge you can get. It's so hard to win this game. It's all like one person wins it. And if you can do anything, you can get yourself over that line, then absolutely take it. I'm a fan of the initiative, but I do put it back on the producers. I do put it back on the show. You got to mix it up. Like you cannot roll out the same things over and over again. Like you can have the big iconic immunity challenges that you use them because everyone loves the good old favorite ones kind of thing, but not to the point where I can do this puzzle in 3 seconds flat. And like once you've got that kind of advantage, it was over for everyone. Once Carson saw a puzzle, he was winning it. Like there wasn't even a question. So
and that's supposed to be the great equalizer.
Exactly. So the puzzle is the thing that, like, I mean, it equalized for Carson. He definitely. I love his story of how he put on 30 pounds of muscle to come onto the show and made sure he wasn't that string bean. But it wasn't an equalizer for anyone else because he had that puzzle down. So, yeah, you're right. It should be that equalizer. That's the thing that the rest of the obstacle course is a waste now because we're all on the puzzle. But once Carson gets there, it's over. So having that in the game, it's not on the player, it's on the producers to make sure that there is something new, something wow, something exciting every time. And like Abraham said, bring all the smoke, come up with all the challenges and let them figure it out.
Well said. I got to get some fan comments in here really fast. So Anthony said 39 days, 90-minute episodes. I think that's what we all really want. I don't think we're going to get that, but then he goes on to say 26 days, 120-minute episodes. So stay hoping. And then JE here says 41 had a pretty good cast, to be honest, Abraham. And then he just put this in as well. I bet 46 for sure practice puzzles, given that they saw Carson dominate the challenges in 44. How much did they see Carson dominate? Because I'm pretty sure they went out to film. I know they just wrapped up filming, so they might have saw it a little bit. I don't know if they saw the entirety of the season. But Kahuna, while we have you here, what really stood out to you from the finale episode that you want to talk about? Because there's so much to talk about in this 3-hour podcast in general, but we want to make sure while you guys are here as our guests that you get to talk about and speak on what stood out to you.
So the big thing for me from the entire season, but also in the finale, is the Tika 3. Like, I'm so in love with this group of players. The fact that Yam Yam is a great, deserving winner, just charisma oozing out of every pore on this man. But one thing that really hurt my heart is that Carolyn got 0 votes because she may instantly, like in one season, instantly goes to my Mount Rushmore of favorite players. Maybe not necessarily best players, but oh my God, do I love her. And she's so herself. And I feel like I was saying this in the Nullified Take through the season, and my biggest worry for Carolyn going through was that we're seeing, and the editors are giving us her story of how she's actually playing the game and playing it very well. Incredible reads, calling out Danny to his face about, is that the real vote or the fake vote? Like the real plan or the fake plan? Like she was seeing things, right? But because of her personality, I was like, I don't know if the players out there are actually seeing it. And we constantly kept seeing the disrespect going her way, that no one would listen to her, even when she's like flat out giving absolute facts about Josh's immunity idol or the fake immunity idol.
The one where he got the beads from the
and she broke it down. She's like, after the thing, Jam Jam called him out. He said, "This is from Tree Mail." Like she nailed, and then they're like, "Yeah, maybe just in case." Like they just completely write her off the entire season. And I'm like, that's going to come back and get her in the final, I think, if she gets there. And I was hoping she would. And it played out that way. Jam Jam definitely deserved a winner, but I don't think Carolyn got her flowers except from Sia, which is great. But Carson as well. Carson, to me, I think he almost played a flawless game. Like, I don't think he was on the wrong side of any vote in particular. Or there was the one where framing, but I think they did that on purpose, him and
Jam
I think Jam. So. Yeah, so he played a flawless game. And then, again, this new era, which I'm not as in, I felt really hard done by that. A guy that played the game so amazingly, social, puzzles, prepared, changed his body for it, and he gets done by fire.
Hold up! I gotta jump in on you, Kahuna. He practiced puzzle. He didn't practice fire.
Well, he said he did, but you're right. I would have practiced fire a lot more.
What's that movie where they're like modeling clay? Like Jam Jam comes from behind Carson. He's like, yeah.
That's crazy to me more.
let me just help you out a little bit. Yeah.
That's so good. Unchained Melody was playing in the background.
Yeah, because you think about it, if players that are coming on the show, the first thing you should practice, and this is the first thing we all practice. We talk about it. We all go out and get a flint and practice fire. Now, how dedicated you are to it, maybe your problems, but I got 2 flints. So you're going to practice fire because you know fire is coming. So for him not to practice fire, as diligent as he practiced puzzles, I think we would have saw a different outcome. But I don't want to take anything from Heidi, because I think Heidi's last 3 episodes, this was Heidi's game. Yeah. I wouldn't have gave it to the Tika 3 because Heidi was running over folks at the last. She just didn't do enough to get to where she's going. And that one power move, which we've seen in the previous season, where she takes the immunity necklace off and she said, "I'll make fire." That could have been the icing on the cake for her, but we just didn't see enough of her.
I'm not a fan of that move.
Oh, see, now that's what I was going to get to is the fire making as a whole. There's a lot of arguments around it. Real quick before we go to that, Kahuna, because I do want to get to that. I want to ask, so you mentioned like it sucks watching Carson, who played probably the best game all season, get taken out on fire. We saw it last year with Jesse. I have a friend. He is nowhere near as I am. He just started watching last season, and he texted me. I asked him today how he enjoyed it, and he said, "I'm kind of getting tired of the fact that the best player usually doesn't win because they get taken out as a threat." I'm like, okay, well, that's the game. But he was talking about Carson, and then you had Jesse last season. Jeff Probst came out on his podcast and said, a lot of people hate fire making, but if we got rid of fire making, the flip side of the coin is Carson probably would have just been voted out there. If they kept the final 3, Carson, Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Heidi would have just teamed up and voted out Carson. So this at least gives them a chance. Is there a way to fix it? Is there something in between? Because fans are growing tired of the fire making, but I do see where Jeff is coming from when he's like, we at least give them a shot.
Shot in the dark.
Just keep moving it back. That's what they're doing, right? They're like, we started with 2 in the final. We don't like the 3rd person getting voted out, so we go to 3 in the final. We don't like the 4th person getting voted out, so we'll do fire. Just do like 5 or 6. Like, give them the opportunity. Like, that's the thing. Like, I get where he's coming from. They obviously are trying to overproduce the game in order to get the best possible outcome. Mm-hmm. But what happens is that, when you set a game of rule, when you set up a game, people are going to try to beat it, right? So as much as you keep changing the rules, the players are going to adapt and they're going to vote that threat out faster or earlier or wherever you set that line of wherever it is, that's what they're going to adapt to and play towards. And if Carson goes out at 4, then that's the game, right? That's Survivor. You get voted out. And then in that instance, he didn't play the perfect game because he didn't manage his threat level or whatever the case may be, right? Like if you're voted out, you're voted out. That's the game. But when you're removed from the game because of a production fingers in the pie kind of thing, that's when that's when it sits a little bit fine. I'm not saying pure season 1, no twists, no idols, no nothing, but I can see the thinking. They're like, well, let's do it at 4 then, because the 4th person is always the one that we want, and they just keep moving the goalposts, and the players are always going to adapt. So that race of constantly trying to be, production ahead of the players and the players ahead of the production. This is the sort of thing that happens where, their intent was that a person like Carson has that final chance to get through to the end. Chance is great, but that's not really what the game is about. It's outwit, outlast, outplay, not outluck. You know what I mean?
Your insight is like perfect.
Out of all 44,
absolutely perfect.
Out of all 44 seasons, have the third players all got 0 votes?
Yes,
they got 0 votes in.
I just looked at. I just looked at it today. The last 7 seasons, I want to say, have had a 0 vote finalist, which has some people.
Well, it comes down to the jury. Well, I don't think it'll make a difference. I think when you come down to the jury, as much as playing the game is important, managing the jury is also important. And because Heidi, she pulled 1 vote out, and you got to look at it and say, I enjoy Carolyn because it represents society. And Carolyn was a true representation of herself, and she played the game. It's just that you got people, but they're regular people on the jury, and you're trying to convince them. And sometimes you're mad about things, or you upset that you got voted out, and blindsided, and you take that into the jury, and you don't vote for somebody. It's real. We don't see the same type of aggressiveness on the jury we've seen in previous seasons, where it's like, oh man, they just malicious on the jury tonight, but they still award the winner. And you can't change that if you put 2 people or 3 people. It's always going to be the jury that determines who's going to be the winner of that season. And like I said, I like Heidi's play down the stretch. I think down the stretch.
Well, let's talk about Heidi's play. Let's talk about it, because this is another hot topic. We've seen it. I mean, we can all thank Chris Underwood for that move there.
Thank you, Chris.
Rob Cesternino tweeted out after Heidi made that move, "Congratulations, Heidi, you just won season 43." So, because that's what Gabler did last season. Sorry, Kahuna, spoiler alert.
43.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's start with our guest here, Kahuna, because you said Abraham has stated he's a huge fan of that move. I like it because I think Heidi did need something else to give her a shot at it. Why do you not like the move?
It's like, I don't want to sound risk averse, because when you're on a show like Survivor, you need to take those risks. But I think when you're that, like, it wasn't even like she was there. She had her seat booked, stamped, guaranteed. I'm in the final 3. And to give that up, I can't. The risk to reward ratio is too high.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, like, I know she didn't have, like, before that, I don't think she was winning anyway. And she needed to pad out her resume. I get it. It's just such a massive swing, and it paid off for her. But man, if it didn't, it looks
I mean,
horrible.
If everyone listening doesn't know, you get paid on the show based off where you finish too. And that's a whole lot of money she's given up. If she goes from finishing 2nd to finishing 4th because she went out on fire. So I get it. It's like, do you take that risk?
Cool. Let me ask you this question here. Would you really pick somebody that you couldn't beat at fire?
Well, that's the thing. I think she watched Carson and she was, I got this. So yeah, I get, like, in that instance, if she had that assurity, 100%. But I would have loved if Carson was just playing possum and he could like make fire like that. It would have been, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. 3D puzzles. And then just lights a fire instantly. It would have been so great. But Heidi, I mean, she's good at it. I had Heidi in my fantasy team, so I was rooting for her the entire season, and she did amazing in the final run. I think she left it just a little bit too late, didn't have a lot of moves to
Yeah.
play, so she got desperate and took a massive risk, which paid off for her. But it's not a risk that, you know, I'd be willing to take when you're already in the final three. I'd be thinking about, you know, if I don't put myself in, if I put Carson and put Janj in, then one of those two are going out, right? And then I've got a better chance of, you know, rather than potentially me going out, and then I'm sitting with Carolyn and someone else that maybe, yeah, I padded their resume by letting them win fire, and you're giving that fuel to someone else. So that's a risk as well. But I'm just like, you're there. Don't give your ticket back. Like, that's what sits with me. And I get, from a TV perspective, it's brilliant. It makes it so much more exciting. It's like you saw the jury, everyone's like, oh, like it was so good. Yeah, they're just going nuts. But from a strategy point of view, in my head, I'm just like, I can't, I can't do it. I would just be, you do fire, I'm gonna practice the hell out of my end speech. I'm gonna like just rehearse everything and have it all down, and take that time where you're practicing fire. I'm crafting the perfect final tribal speech. So
I
that's what
think
I.
if it was Lauren would have made fire. Lauren would have said, "Hey, y'all battle that out. I'll be over here waiting on you."
Yeah, that's why I thought you said Lauren would have made fire, and I was like, I don't think so. Knowing Lauren, she would have been like, yeah, you guys do what you want to do over there. I'm good. I'm booking my ticket. Speaking about the final three, Heidi gets 1 vote, obviously, from Danny. Carolyn, we spoke on, got 0 votes. Yam Yam got the rest. What were you guys shocked? Was there, like, what was your takeaway from their jury speeches, the questions that were being asked to them, how the jury was addressing them? Was there anything that Carolyn and Heidi could have done differently to get a different result here? Or are we convinced it was always going to be Yam Yam? The jury had their mindset. Yam Yam played the best game. Abraham, go ahead. Oh,
no, guess go first. Go ahead, Kuna.
Thank you, sir. Look, Heidi, as I said, I think she left her run too late. She didn't really have the points to be able to articulate, and so because of that, I think her narrative was a little bit funny. She was a little bit all over the place, and she came off, because she didn't have like a set list of, here's my accomplishments, here's what I did, here's all the things. And it kind of got a little bit defensive in times. I felt like she didn't, and you contrast that next to Yam Yam, who's just making everyone roll in laughter in the aisles. He's just like a chuckle a minute kind of guy. And then Carolyn in the tribal final got a bit of a bad edit. So I wonder, either she didn't say a lot or enough, or she didn't really articulate herself that well, which I was always going to be worried about. Carolyn focused on her, that, the growth thing, or like it was so emotional, and I've, rather than focusing on what she actually did in the game, and the calls she made and the reads she made and that sort of thing, she was focused on the emotion and connecting with people. And Heidi was a little bit too much on, like, is all over the place. A more clear, defined storyline from start to end. Here's what I actually did, and you can articulate to the jury, this is how it played out. This is what you didn't see. This is what I did see, and these are the moves I made. Especially from Carolyn, who people weren't seeing anything that she was saying or doing. She needed to be able to point out to them, this is what you missed. This is behind the scenes. This is Carolyn on the down low that, got past all of you. And that wasn't in her speech, unfortunately.
I mean, you got to be able to articulate it. That's definitely that's the stamp on the letter right there. I don't remember Heidi in the first half of the season, and I think that was a detriment to being able to say that she was a clear cut winner. I do, at the last 3 or 4 episodes, like the way she played. I thought she played the game of outwit, outplay, outlast to the best of them. And I think the icing on the cake was, I'm going to beat somebody in Fire Challenge, and I'm going to put my stamp on this game. I just think it was too much, too little, too late.
First half of Heidi was just episode 1. The whole thing was she made fire.
Yeah,
that was like her only highlight. Yeah, that was the only highlight from first half of the season.
And then it was the Danny Alliance. And I can understand why Danny gave his vote to her. And it was the Danny Alliance. And really, that's it until we get to the last 3 or 4 episodes, where she wins immunity and she does a couple other things, and then she does the fire. Uh, and again, I'm with you, Kahuna. Carolyn needed to present her story, and she presented her personal story, not her survivor story. And I think that they just didn't gravitate to that because whoever's looking for an answer for how you beat the other person out. Because at first I was like, there's no difference between the Tika tribe because all of y'all are in the same votes. Everybody's making a thing except for Carolyn wasn't a part of a couple of the early votes, so she didn't know about the early votes. So I didn't see where they kind of differential. And they said Carson was the mastermind. Jam Jam saying he's the mastermind. But Jam Jam also had a hit list. Everybody that voted for Jam Jam when he had to vote, he was running them out of there. And I said, okay, he has something, but he's articulate when he gave his survivor story, which gave him the win. I think that was you got to be able to tell your story from the time you set foot on the island to the time you get to those final 3 seats there. So for all future players, work on it. When they call you and say you made it, start working on your speech because that way you know what to expect and how to deliver it. If you go to Marianne back in her win, um, she gave an excellent tribal council speech. And to put the icing on the cake, she says, "Here's my hidden immunity that I didn't have to use." That was it. It was done. There was no Mike wasn't going to win after that. Now Mike will tell you he was going to win because he's going to get a better speech. But
well, hey, I just got to remind you, Abraham, Kahuna hasn't seen season 42. This is going right over the head.
That's fine by me. I just started 42 after 44 finished. I started watching 42. So off season for me is 2 seasons back to back. I'm back in.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to reach out to you and see what you think of the seasons after you watch them here. Before we let you go here, the last thing I really want to cover here, really quick, is if Carson makes the final 3, does Carson beat Jam Jam?
I think he does. I think as much as Jam Jam was loved because of his humor and charisma, it seemed like Carson had genuine relationships across the board in that, like, to the point where we didn't even see them. Like he's saying, Danny was giving me all the information. I'm like, really? Like, okay. So, I mean, we saw little bits of it, but according to people on the show, Carson was across everyone. And I think, as I said, like, you can't point to anyone else in the show and say they played a flawless game. Jam Jam was really struggling early on, and that's part of his story as well, that he actually overcome being on the bottom and battling it out with Josh as to who's going to get voted out or not, and actually got saved by a injury twist kind of thing. So there was that tribal where they stopped the vote. One of them was going to go home, and they didn't. So Jam Jam maybe might have gone home earlier. I doubt it. Josh was definitely going home. But anyway, he was at risk. And he had been at risk. Carson was never. He only got 2 votes against him in the entire season. So Carson
let me hit you with a follow-up question. So when the voting came out, Carolyn got no vote. But all season, Carolyn says Carson was like her little son. She was going to be with him regardless. Are we saying loyalty doesn't garner any votes at the end?
No, not for someone like Carson anyway.
Used to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But also someone like Carson who, he probably, like, actually, I don't want to speak like that because when he was at the final tribal, he's like doing the proud parent, the dance mom thing. He's like, and trying to like almost direct their speech, which I thought, which was so brilliant. Like you could just imagine him doing the dance moves, like out in the crowd. So he was super into having character, but I think because he knows that he ran the game with Jam Jam, I don't even think Carson respected Carolyn's game the way we saw it from the TV edit. So yeah, I don't think Carson would have won. I don't think Carson would have voted for Carolyn because as much as he loves her as a person, I don't think he saw her game the way we did.
Well said. I mean, Kahuna, this is a true professional right here, a professional podcaster. He came in, he had never met Abraham and I. He was told the other day, hey, go on, Chris basically said, take my spot. And you came on and just gave amazing answers, my dude. And your breakdown of the game, it's impeccable. It's outstanding. Yeah, of course. Where can fans catch you? So obviously you work with the Nullified Take. Is there any other social medias you want to shout out?
Nah. Just go the nullified
I love
take.
that answer. Yeah.
Just follow the nullified taking. And look, as much as you said I haven't met you, I have watched you guys. I am a fan, so thank you so much for having me. It's been a great season, great podcast. I appreciate you guys, and hopefully we can do it again.
I gotta give you a plug out because anybody that's rocking Voltron in the background can always come back.
knows what they're talking about. We definitely got to do another podcast together soon, but enjoy the off season. Watch 42 and 43 and we'll catch you next season. Kahuna, thanks for coming on.
Thanks guys.
Bye. Woo. All right. I mean, we keep trucking along here. That was Kahuna from the Nullified Take. Abraham, some great insight, and man, this 3-hour show continues to plug along. We're already 40 minutes in. Are you doing okay?
Look, the 3-hour show is a drop in the bucket to compare to Survivor. So let's get it done.
Oh man, well, I have to welcome in our next couple of guests here. They are from the Escaping Reality podcast. We met them at Bryson Wynn Presents, so we'll get them in here. I don't know if Stacy might be back, but there she is. I got her.
Come on, Stacy.
Get her back. Perfect. We have Anna and Stacy here. Hello, ladies. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, good. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. That was my biggest nerve-wracking thing with like a live stream. I'm like, I really hope someone doesn't come on and like the mic's not working and stuff. Yeah. And I just be over here like, no, can't hear you, but
I can hear you.
Yeah. So we met, for everyone watching, we met at Bryson Wynn Present. So I have to ask you guys a question about like, because I know my answer. Was there someone you met at Bryson Wynn Present that you connected with that you were like, oh my gosh, I am so happy I got to meet this person that you just talked to forever? Give us the details before we get into breaking down this season.
I mean, other than you guys, like I feel like I spent most of the time talking to you, Randy.
Same. Anna and I had a long conversation on night 2. We just stood outside and literally it was after you called it a night, Stacy. You were like, I'm good. I'm heading back.
The old folks had to go home. You know.
I was still there.
You're young.
But yeah, so I would say other than you guys, I feel like I connected with Gio on the dance floor. A few words were exchanged, but there was chemistry. And I took that away with me when I left.
Gio was amazing. His energy was incredible.
I gotta text Gio to make sure he's all right.
Gio came to party. Let me just say that. Yeah. Stacey, is there anyone you connected with? Were you on the dance floor with Anna dancing the night away with?
I wasn't quite. I was adjacent to the dance floor.
Gio right there.
Yes, but no, I would say Lauren, who we had talked to her a bit through Instagram already, but she just seemed so excited to meet us, and I was like, "We're excited to meet you!" So this is great. So that's one, and then Jamie. I mean, we talked to Jamie at the welcome party and then at the watch party, and she's just so sweet and just like so down to earth, and we had some good conversations with her too. So
the cast, like as a whole, were just incredible. Like this cast was like so nice. I remember I never would have guessed this, but I connected with Matt, and I'm talking Franny's Matt. I talked to him more than any other castaway. I would see him and he'd be like, yo, what's up? And we would instantly just start talking. We just hit it off. I do it. Let's see. Anthony says, hey, Stacy here. And then Gio was turned up. He sure was. Well, ladies, let's not waste any more time here and get into this season, what we're here to cover. We've talked a lot about the finale and the winner, but I want to hear your guys' opinions on Yam Yam, because the Survivor community can be fantastic. It can be a phenomenal, warming community, but at the same time, it can be a little harsh at times. And I thought when Yam Yam won, there would be no hardships. I'm like, this has to be a winner that everybody is happy with. But there are still people super mad because Carolyn didn't get a single vote. They wanted Carolyn to win. They wanted her to be the represented winner of the season. People love Carson as well. So what did you guys think about Yam Yam's win? Because I'm just shocked that so many people were against it, because I just thought he was one of the better winners we've had in recent times.
Yeah. Well, so it's funny. We just recorded our podcast episode today. It hasn't come out yet. And we talked a lot about Yam Yam and Carolyn and Heidi. But first off, anyone who has listened to our podcast knows I've been team Yam Yam. He wasn't on my like draft pick that we did because Anna got him, but which she will remind us of.
Yeah.
She said she's gotten the winner the last 2 seasons, I believe, right?
Oh, nice.
So-
2 out of
Wow,
3
that's impressive.
Not the winner, but I've had 2 out of 3 of my picks. I've picked 2 out of 3 of the final 3, 2 seasons in a row.
Randy is the opposite. If he picks you, you will get voted out.
Every time. Yeah, I
Put
picked
your money
Josh.
with me.
I picked Josh, and I said he was going to be a top 10 player all time.
Aw.
I went on to make that statement. I just felt like, yeah, that's a story for a different day. But yeah,
Oh Lord.
go on, Stacey.
Well, yeah, we were all big fans of Yam Yam, and so we talked today just about how he did in the final tribal, and I think we all agreed like he just really connected with the jury. He just really told like his story of his strategy in a very like compelling way. And even though we also loved Carolyn, from what we saw, I know that final tribal is probably hours longer than we see, but from what we saw, I don't know that she like captivated them in the same way. But as far as the whole season goes, I truly believe like she would have been a deserved winner as well. But I think when it comes down to final tribal, he earned it. So I don't know what you would add, Anna, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And like you said, we just talked about this earlier today. And I think one of the things that we all were in agreement on was it's so disappointing to have Carolyn as a 0 vote finalist. Like if Heidi had also gotten 0 votes, I think it would have felt like less of a sting.
Better.
Or like if she had just gotten 1, like I think it would have appeased people a little bit because she was so likable and she was such a highlight of the season. But then to spin that back on Yam Yam, like it was so refreshing to get to the end of the season and to have a winner crowned who you really saw throughout the entire narrative of the season. And in every episode, like he just shined. So did Carolyn, but Yam Yam is the winner. Like you got to the end and it felt like you could follow the through line, which cannot be said of every season.
No,
Well-
it cannot. Oh, Abraham, you got something to add on?
Well, here's the thing about it is when you initially get the call to be on the show, they want storytellers. That's truly one of the markers of the story, the ability to tell your story. And we see it in clips when they're telling about their lives and stuff. And you're right. I think if Carolyn had put together her clips of the game, not of Carolyn, but just of the game, they would have been like, okay, I would have hit them with the Danny and Brandon where they didn't even invite her to be a part of the conversation. And she still outlasted and outplayed them, and they all got voted out. I'd have said, hey, we teamed up with Tika Tribe, and we all worked together. Don't try to say that Yam Yam did this because you couldn't have done it without me. And then when y'all least expected it, I hit you with my idol that nobody knew about, and we were able to play the idol correctly and keep it a secret, and nobody knew about it. Now, had she presented that story, they'd have been like, oh, you know what? Maybe Carson wasn't the mastermind. Because the thing about it is, we only get to see what's going to be not on the edit. So when the edit shows us a little small part, but Carolyn as a player, we loved her. She said stuff that was funny. She said stuff that was real. She said stuff that was emotional. She was being herself. But when you're standing in front of the jury that's been on those aisles with you for the last 26 days, they really don't care about that. They want to know, how did you beat me? What did you do to beat me and put me on the jury versus me telling you I want to be the winner? So you got to be mindful when you go through the game. You're going to have to give that speech at the end.
Yeah.
I want to ask a broad question here about the season as a whole. Who do we think made the best move all season?
Ooh.
If you look back, I'll give my opinion because I have mine, and then it'll give you some time to think about it here. Danny he is now tied 7th all time for the most votes voided on a single play when he saved Franny and got, I think it voided 6 votes. I miscounted at the time. He voided 6 votes. Now, I don't know if you look at the grand scheme of things, he went on to vote Franny out 2 votes later. So like, there's still the question of why did you say Franny when you just cut her loose 2 votes later here? But I think off the top of my head, I think that's the greatest move all season because he kept an alliance member in the game, and that really flipped the momentum Soka's way against Ratu when they were kind of battling it out, and Tika was just in the middle. So that's my opinion on the best move all season. Anna, I'll go to you first here.
This might be a controversial way to answer the question because I think, when you think about best move, it's like, okay, what things stand out the most in my mind and in my memory of this season? And it's not necessarily things that I think propelled people the furthest or even necessarily things that came to fruition. Like I think a lot of the fake idol planting was like so good and it sticks out so much in my mind. But I think for me in this season and in the context of really all of the new era seasons so far, no one is able to keep a secret ever when they find something, when they have something, when they get an advantage. So to me, one of my picks for what the best move this season would be Carolyn pulling off the birdcage, because no one is ever able to keep their idol a secret, and she managed to do it. And for as much as she was a talker, I found that incredibly surprising and impressive. So I think I'm going to say that that's my best move, is that she pulled off that maneuver. Do I think she made the best of the situation when she explained it to them in full detail? Maybe not. But I think the execution of finding it and hiding the fake and the X, like,
would the X have tricked you guys? Would you have believed it if you saw a red X?
I would.
I think so. Yeah,
I would too.
I mean, we condition anything that doesn't look right is right.
Yeah. Which Jeff said, he was like, that was smart because at this point you'll take anything as like a clue or it has some meaning to it.
Brilliant move. Stacey, you got something different, or are you adding on to either?
I don't know if anyone will agree with these, but I have 2. It's the same person though, so hopefully that's okay. And it's going to be surprising, I think. But Heidi, I actually think had 2 good moves. So the first would be way back when she got that advantage. I cannot remember the name of it, where she could take someone's vote and tell them who to vote for, basically.
Mm-hmm. Control your vote advantage. Yes.
There you go. Control your vote. And I hope I'm saying this, remembering correctly, but I'm pretty sure she took someone's vote to use towards Yam Yam. And I think it was really almost like to throw it away. Like, I think she knew that it wasn't going to like send him home, but she wanted to still be on good terms with him and still use the advantage. So to me, it was pretty smart. And I actually think she could have brought it up in Final Tribal if she was talking about her strategy. Second, even though we had a long talk on our podcast about fire making and like you shouldn't have to give up, your immunity to do fire, but in her situation, she knew this is my only hope. And so for her to do it and do it in the fastest time ever, I do think that was one of the best moves of the season. So.
And I wish she got more credit for doing the fire making as fast as she did. It only resulted in Danny's vote, unfortunately, but I do wish she got more credit. I have to add on before Abraham gives his answer here. Kahuna stuck around. He said, Danny calling Jeff during the brutal endurance challenge just a fart was the best move in Survivor history. Oh my gosh. Jeff will remember that for a while. Abraham, do you have anything else move wise?
I gotta go with
best move all season.
I gotta go with Brandon playing his idol correctly and saving himself.
Way early on. You're talking first tribal council.
I mean, because if he didn't play that time, he wouldn't have been on the jury. And you wouldn't really. The longer you were in Survivor, the better. The more people remember who you are, the more impactful you are, and you get to be the one to help crown the next Survivor winner. Because I was standing next to him doing before she decided if she was going to play, if she was going to do fire or not do fire. And Brandon was like, "Hey, you got to watch it," because I was like, she would never give up the necklace. A sure bet, but then you're right. She didn't have enough to actually push her over as a winner. She needed something else. And I think if we were playing in the old school Survivor, she would have won. Because that's not the first time that move been done. And that guy, he won his season for that very same move. And I think he came back from Excel Island. So he wasn't even in the game. He was somewhere else. Came back, gave up immunity, won fire, and won that season. So I thought it was a good move. I would have gave her my vote for it, but it's interesting. I forgot about Heidi and her advantage because she didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, like I actually think there were a few things she could have owned more in general. So what can you do?
Yeah, I mean, was there anything Heidi could have done differently? We talked about it a little Kahuna, but I'd love to give your guys' opinions as well. Was there anything that could have changed this last tribal council to give Heidi or Carolyn the win over Yam Yam?
I'll reiterate two of the things that I said about Heidi when we recorded earlier, not to like be a broken record, Stacey, but I'll just repeat my points. The first was like a minute into Final Tribal, Yam Yam got to answer the first question and Heidi immediately interrupted him. And I think that too early on put a bad taste in people's mouths. Maybe it was just edited that way because right after we saw the faces of the jury kind of like wincing a bit. And the second thing would be when she announced at Tribal Council that she would be putting herself into fire with Carson, we just weren't happy with the way that she worded it because she phrased it as like, I know I need to do this. Like, I need this on my resume. Whereas she could have spun it a little bit to say, I acknowledge that Carson is the biggest threat, and I personally want to guarantee that Carson's not sitting next to me. Mm-hmm. It's a bit nuanced. It's semantics, but as a viewer, I was like, oh, I wish that she had just presented this as stronger for her own game in her reasoning and not like, I know I need to do this because it's my last chance.
Yeah.
Well, here's another question. How are you as a fan looking at it? How do you feel about, is it Sienna? What's her name? The singer?
Oh,
Sia. How do you feel about Sia being able to make her selection of who she thinks should receive something that she presented?
I don't know that I've ever thought about it. I mean, it's her money, so I wish I could see what her criteria was, because as far as we know, it's just like her favorite player or someone who does, I don't know, something that she respects. But I want to know more about like what her criteria for picking a person is, because it seems to just be whoever her favorite is. But it's her money, so
I was a little shocked. I have the graphic for everyone on the screen. So Carolyn got $100,000. That doesn't shock me whatsoever. Carson got $15,000. Doesn't shock me. I was a little surprised by Lauren, but I guess you have that like motherly connection. Like Sia's a mom, Lauren's a mom. A lot of people were saying, why didn't Heidi get anything? Heidi wasn't like, I love Heidi, but she didn't get a huge edit this season. And I think that's another reason I was a little shocked about Lauren getting the money, because she also didn't have that big of an edit this season. Honestly, I thought Sia was going to give it to Yam Yam, Carolyn, and Carson.
You wouldn't give it. But you wouldn't give it to Yam Yam
because he won, right? But that
he doesn't need it.
Or maybe like Franny and Matt, like Sia's like, I will buy your honeymoon.
First date.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't get it to me. Look, again, it's her money to give out, and I think she's the only person that's given money throughout the different seasons for different players. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say that she gave somebody 41 anything, because she didn't. But she's given them, and that's almost like, because the way they explain it to her, she pays the taxes on the money, so Carolyn gets $100,000 in addition to whatever else you get for being on Survivor. So if you played the game with some type of monetary gain in it, that was a nice game for all of them. And again, it's addition to what we already get for playing the game, so it's not a bad payday. You can get a new iPhone. I guarantee that.
So one thing that we have not chatted about so far in this first hour is the after show. It's a hot topic to talk about. It's here to stay, apparently, because Chef Probst did say in an article that they love the after show. They came up with this idea during the pandemic. Jeff came up with a lot of ideas during the pandemic. He was on an idea rampage where he was just sitting down and thinking of all the different stuff he could do. But he said in the future we might get a reunion show back, but they would do both. They would do the after show, and then there'd be a live reunion to follow, which is nice. I'm okay with that. If we have to do it, if we have to do this after show, it's the after show has been something that people and like fans alike have not been too happy about, but I thought this one was okay. I thought this one was really fun. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time they did like the daytime talk show. After the break, we will talk to Matt and Franny this year's relationship, and you'll get a fresh look at season 45. Like I think it's the first year they did that, so they changed some things up. Carolyn, I think, said that she was heartbroken that she got no votes, but then had to go straight into shoving pizza down her throat with champagne. So, Stacey, I'll start with you here. How are we feeling after this Survivor 44 after show? Is it positive? Is it still this sucks? We need to give them time.
Well, it's complicated, I guess. I mean, I do agree. Like this one was probably better planned than maybe the other ones. So, and it did. I didn't even really think about it till you said that, but it did have more like after the break this, and like it seemed a little more like there was a plan for it. There's some kind of like script maybe for it. So, so that was improvement. I miss the after shows though, like the reunions down the road. I know we were talking about it earlier today, but when we were watching at the watch party, someone at the table next to us was like, "What if Jeff is just like going to travel here right now? What if like?"
I mean, they had a giant check. They handed Yam Yam a giant check.
Exactly. So I don't know. They're still like, as a diehard Survivor fan, I still miss those reunions. I bet the players who are in the final three prefer this because they find out who wins right then and don't have to wait for a while. So they probably prefer it. But I also and I'd love to hear, Abraham, your thoughts, but I feel like as a player, I would want, and especially like if I wasn't in the jury, so I wasn't there for that moment, I would want to have that reunion with everyone, which I feel like Bryce and Wendell have kind of created now, but that's just their side, like their decision. It's not CBS.
I mean, someone before Abraham adds his point, someone did say, what would make this when Jeff revealed to Jamie that the idol was fake? That was a really funny moment. And seeing Kane react and Brandon, slapping Kane on the back and being like, see, you kind of saved her, bro. Someone tweeted, what would have made this moment better? If Matthew was also at this like after show to kind of laugh about it as well, which we didn't get. Abraham, so what do you think? Like, what do you think of the after show?
It's forced. It's not a natural occurrence. And let me tell you something. After 26 days, you don't want to drink liquor. So I don't want liquor, nor do I want pizza. And it's just it's almost like the development of you just trying to do something to try to pacify. We didn't care for it when it happened the first time, and we don't care for it now because there's an emotional connection that you have to get over. And like Carolyn says, I don't want to sit here and eat pizza. Y'all didn't even vote for me. I don't want to be around this group here. I want to go back to the Ponderosa, change, and I want to relax, and I want to deal with what just happened. And you just don't get the time to deal with it. When you have the live reunion shows, you have months to process this game. We process this game even when we're at the show. When we're there, I think Xander was there, and it was four of us from my season there, and we are always talking about if we could have done this differently, or why'd you vote me out? The emotions that come with the game that you don't see. It's not on TV. You only see what the edit shows you, but there's baggage to be carried for the next season, and you need some months apart from each other. But at the same time, you want to come back together and be like, okay, and I had a chance to digest this. I've seen it on TV. Because remember, people don't see what you say about them until they see the show on TV. They don't know in your confessional you told them you a dirtbag. So it doesn't, you got to be like, oh man, I've been looking at this. But I got to give credit to Bryce and Wynn Present because not only do they bring back the entire cast in one location for the fans to come out and enjoy this great adventure with them when it comes to a conclusion, but they also had a big check. So if CBS, if you want to come back on the scene and you want to do a reunion show, you need to do it through Bryce and Wynn.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. and you need to give them credit for holding it together while y'all didn't hold it together. Quit being cheap.
I had to throw that in there. CBS, if you want to do a reunion show, that's how you do it. And then Bryson went present. And before we get onto our like final topic here, while we have you guys, can we change the pizza? At least they've done pizza for every after show. Can we have like a taco and margarita night? I mean, come on, get them like spaghetti and wine. I mean, like, I don't know.
I have beef with the food choices in the new era for the rewards, for everything. So they need to work on that.
Why can't we do like a what drink goes with lobster?
You know what's
maybe
Randy,
have lobster. Change it up
this is
here.
Crazy.
We don't need pizza from the
Let me tell you what we ate during pregame. No, let me tell you what we ate during pregame. One night we had lamb. I mean, we get a little menu. We had lamb. I mean, we have great food right over at the resort. There's no reason why you couldn't just bring it over to the sanctuary. You're not going that far. And give us some better foods. Spaghetti and cake don't go together anyway. I'm not sure about that one. But I want to speak for the Fijian and everybody there. They have great food. You just don't see it on Survivor. That's all.
If I'm sitting at home and the reward doesn't look good to me, why am I watching? Like, I want to be enticed as a viewer to think, oh, that looks so good. If I go on Survivor, that's what I'm going to get if I win a reward. How tempting.
I gotta back up off a little bit. You hungry, so you don't really care. I was eating coconut dirt, so if you'd have gave me a ham sandwich, I was gonna knock that down. But I wanted to only say that they have great food. They have great food in Fiji. But most days I had coconut.
For the after show, could they at least bring in like Applebee's just for the nostalgia?
Right? Let's do Applebee's. I don't know. Like, I just think it's hilarious that like I don't think anyone's talked about it. But for the after show, all 3 seasons of the new era, and since we've been doing it, it's been pizza and champagne. It has not changed. Like, make it unique.
I don't think I ate any pizza the whole time I was there.
This season was like medieval themed. Bring in like a giant like baked pig, or make it like a medieval feast. Make it like Game of Thrones style feast or something like that. You know, like Kane and Carson would have loved it if they just like brought in this like giant round table with like a masterful feast. So before we let you guys go here, we do have to chat. I got a picture here. So we finally met. Bryson Wynn presents.
Cute.
Yes. I got 2/3 of the gals here today.
Yes, Aggie sends her regards.
Would have loved to speak with Aggie as well, but totally understand. So loved meeting you guys at the event. Was that your first Bryson Wynn present? Or have you been to another one?
I think that was my third, and Stacey, your second?
Second, yeah.
That was my second.
I have to I have to fly to New York from Nashville, so I can only do every so often. We were New Yorkers, so yeah.
You gotta put in there to have them come to Nashville.
I comment on Wendell's post every time.
Nashville would be lit. I went to Nashville for the first time and partied it up this past January, and it was insanely fun. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. Where can fans catch when's your podcast releasing? Give us the insight, and then where can they catch you on social medias?
Yes, of course. So we are Escaping Reality on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Typically, we put our episodes out on Wednesdays. We're not totally sure what that's going to look like in Survivor off season yet, but usually Wednesdays are our posting day. And we are on Instagram at Escaping Reality Pod. And we also have TikTok at Escaping Reality Pod. Someday we'll post. But we took the handle.
I feel that as well. I feel that. Well, ladies, thank you again for joining us. We got to do this again. This was fun. A longer podcast together. We finally collabed, and we got to get something going this off season.
Well, we got season 45 coming up.
So, it's going to be here before we know it.
Season 45. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Woo! We are trucking along here. Wow, I absolutely love them. They are incredible. They do an amazing job. at Escaping Reality. Again, go check it out, Escaping Reality Podcast. I absolutely adore them. I do have a few comments I have to get through here before we get to our next guest. Jay has a couple. They should have just kept it as a final 2, in my opinion. I also think that. And then Jay again said, I thought 46 flew out on Friday. I said earlier how 46 wouldn't have watched Carson dominate this season. But I take it back because they would have. 45 wouldn't have seen the entire season because they were out filming. But yeah, so let's get in our next guest here. Let me get the right layout again. You guys may have seen them before because they've joined us before. I absolutely adore these two gentlemen. They cover not only Survivor US, but Survivor Australia as well. I've got some questions that I've been keen to ask them from the Speaking Llama podcast. I am joined by Alex and Caleb. Oh, and
what's
Caleb,
up, Alex and Caleb?
Caleb is sporting the snuff tat as well. Like, oh man, how are you
You
doing,
have to.
gentlemen?
Hey, I've got it too. I've got it too here.
You just flipped it around. I never picked mine up, but gentlemen, how are you doing this evening? I was so excited to get you back on the podcast to break down season 44.
Doing great. Yeah, really excited to be here. Always good to join y'all here on Survivor Now. So thanks for having us.
Oh man.
Yeah, Randy, I was doing okay today until I got on and Alex was here. I hate this man with every burning passion.
I didn't tell
of my
you I was
being.
inviting him too.
No. You know, I try to limit my interactions with him from a weekly basis, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Man. I have to ask the general question. I'm sure your fans have already heard it on your show, but looking back at season 44, are we fans of it? How does this compare to, I guess, the new era seasons? And then I've got like, we can talk Australian Survivor too, because we just had Heroes versus Villains Survivor Australia, which was so good. And I keep telling people Survivor Australia has ruined Survivor US for me. So how are we looking at this newest season?
Go for it, Caleb.
Oh man, you making me go first. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, I think we have the snuff tat song, which is from Australian Survivor, a reference there for those who have seen it. But 44, I think as a whole, I made the mistake of going back and rewatching Pearl Islands during this season. I started watching it and I picked up where I left off from a while ago. And the first thing that I see is a player distraught over whether or not they should give up their reward to Rupert, who had been providing for the tribe all season long. And this player realizing that they don't get to go on a yacht and boat ride overnight, everyday life, and that this was their chance to go and do that. That was the drama. And we don't see that kind of drama, that kind of social dynamic, not nearly as much. We see it some, right? We see Yam Yam in this finale, right? Kind of oscillate between, should I help Carson learn how to make fire because I care about him? Should I not be doing this? So we see that some. I don't want to say it's completely gone from it, but that's what I miss about old Survivor. When I think about 41 through 44, I think that's that's the heart of Survivor that we're missing, that social dynamic. It was a good season overall. I'm really happy with the outcome of the season. Yam Yam is a great winner. The Tika 3 are excellent gameplay, and which like another chip in the cap for the intentional Matt Singh strategy. But, you know, Alex, your thoughts?
Just had to throw that in there. Yeah, I'm with Caleb 100%. You know, coming off of Australian Survivor, it is tough to really get on board with US Survivor now. It's also ruined US Survivor for me. Yeah. Similar to you all, we interviewed, you know, this Australian Survivor castaways as well. So it felt like a different watching experience a little bit, and there was an overlap there. Putting that aside, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it was a great cast, really fun. I think you can tell production in Survivor, Jeff, like they're starting to get a hang of some of these twists a little bit, where it's some new ones out there, but also it's not too much. It felt like the right amount of twist this season. Maybe a few too many fake idols, despite them having no
Like
impact on the
7.
game whatsoever.
Well, no, to be fair, they only planted 3 fake idols. They didn't know that Josh and Matt would create fake idols as well.
But we never saw anybody play the fake idol. That was the part we were missing.
I mean, that's my biggest disappointment, right? At least in what was presented to us regarding Jamie, her whole narrative was, I have this idol, but we all know it's a fake idol. And then it's just like nothing happens. And that was honestly my most dissing point of the season. And like, production can't control that Kane went home with it in his pocket, but also just don't shove in my face that Jamie has a fake idol when nothing happens with it. So
I would have loved to see Jeff says, this is a fake idol.
Yeah.
That'd have been an epic tribal council.
Oh, I mean, we really haven't touched on all these fake idols. And I mean, we've talked a lot about the finale, and I do have a few questions coming up about Yam Yam and how he compares to other winners, particularly the Australian winner this season. So we'll get to that. But let's talk about these advantages. So they introduced the birdcage. There was no knowledge is power this season, but it still came into play with everyone passing stuff around. What did we think overall about the new advantages? Like, and do we expect them to come back? I've had this question all season. Do we think, we know that Jeff, when something doesn't work, he's like, let's just try it again and maybe it'll work this time. Do we think 45, maybe 46 are going to have, obviously you can't really do the birdcage again because people expect it, but maybe like we saw this bag in like the trailer, maybe something with that where they put a fake idol and a real idol. Even Jeff in the after show was like, this is going to come back. And is it real or fake? You don't know. So are we expecting them to do like all the fake idols again? Alex, I'll start with you, man.
Yeah, I would love to see it. One of my favorite things about the birdcage twist was that each idol was unique to each tribe. And then the fake idol was the same replica as a real idol on another tribe.
Very confusing.
And I was so excited to see like a merged tribe or a swap tribe and then start to piece together, is this real or is this not? I was so excited to see it. And the fact that we just never really saw that come out. And so I think I could definitely see him doing that kind of thing again. Randy, I agree. Probably can't do the exact birdcage, but potentially something where you find an idol and a fake idol at the same point. And again, I love that the idols are different and that the fake idols line up with real idols elsewhere. Beyond that, I'm excited to see. I cannot for the life of me ever remember the advantage that Sarah got, like episode 1.
Oh my God. It was the
inheritance, I believe.
Inheritance.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that at all come into play. So I would love to see that. It feels like a very overpowered advantage, but I think that'd be really fun to see. Those are my initial thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to completely disagree with Alex.
I was going to say, knowing you guys.
I have to. I actually think they should do the birdcage exactly the same, except nothing is in them at all. Like just completely empty. Just to mess with the castaways or like, I would actually love to see a classic idol hunt, right, where there is an actual clue that leads to like a map of somewhere else on the beach. Maybe they'll do that. I'll tell you what I want to come back, because in 41 through 44 we have seen a lot of different types of advantage, like the inheritance advantage. One thing that I really, really loved that we have not seen since was that kind of 3-part advantage from, I believe it was either 41 or 42, where it was at the very initial challenge that 3 people had to decide whether they were going to take the advantage, and if they all 3 came back together, it was right. Like it was
merge.
Yeah, during the merge, right? If one of it was left, it was a full idol, right? So like that was a very cool advantage. I was really surprised we had not seen, because that requires people to interact with one another outside of, hey, I have an idol, what should we do with it? And so I hope we see something like that before. I just hope we do it less at once.
I like the vote for getting rid of the shot in the dark forever.
I know we saw it worked this season, Abraham. It worked.
Care. It's the worst challenge. It's the worst. It's not an advantage.
I'm actually I'm going to hot topic real quick. Let me read this comment real fast by Kahuna. 3-hour podcast is like the final immunity challenge on Australian Survivor. I love it. Thank you. It definitely testing it out. This is going to be the longest podcast we've ever done. But we haven't talked about Shot in the Dark at all. And now while we're talking about advantages, I kind of like it now. I've come around to it because if you know you're going home, you might as well play it. Like Matt knew when they got split up in that god-awful episode 7 that we watched. Just compare episode 7 of Survivor Australia to US, and it's night and day. But, yeah, so Matt knew he was going home. No chance, no shot. I think the Shot in the Dark die can come into play at that point. I think my only issue is I want them to actually roll the die. Like I think that would be so dramatic. Like with their shots, how they shoot stuff now, like with that like very dramatic. Like if you saw them actually roll the die and you just have a slow motion of it, I think that would be fun.
That's because you don't know how small that little area is. That area is not that big for all that. You're not on TV. It looks like it's massive. It's not. You're looking like, man, they're right there on top of you. And here's the thing. When he was explaining to us when they first started and they was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do the Shot in the Dark. We was like, what? We was like 18 people like, what are they talking about? We can count math. We know what it looks like in math terms, but the execution of it needs to be either retooled or something needs to be tweaked in it where it's actually a shot in the dark. It's to the point right now where it's basically a loss. We had 3 people in 4 seasons play. I'm like, okay, well, they all went home anyway. So 2 people did go home, but I don't like that one anyway. I'm with bring back something that
Stacey
really
agrees with you. I'm ready for Shot in the Dark to go.
Thank you, Stacey, because it's trash. But when you have somebody go out there and have to really look, and don't get me wrong now, because it's hard to find them idols, and them islands are tricky, and you walking through spider webs. I want to see more of them out there looking for stuff. Because the cameras make you like you're an idiot. Because you're like, why did people walk by it 12 times? You didn't see it.
We saw plenty of people looking for stuff this season. Caleb, you had something to add on to maybe the Shot in the Dark or the looking for idols?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with Abraham. I think statistically, like it's just not going to ever work out when it needs to realistically work out when it needs to work out for someone to need it to go home. It be played correctly. And it saved them the night that they are going home is so insurmountable. Like it seems like a waste of, I mean, at the end of the day, like your vote is more powerful than the opportunity to potentially stay in the game. And I love the example of Matt. And you know, maybe he really does need it and had a chance to do it. But that's a testament to how he played the game the entire time. Right. He is in that situation because of his gameplay up to that point. Survivor isn't fair like that. Like it's just not a fair game. And for better or worse, right, that's how he found himself. But your vote is a more powerful tool than a shot in the dark. And so I would love to see them, you know, if they want to rework it some, to change how the mechanic works a little bit differently, or maybe it's doing something. I don't even have an idea for it, but I agree with Abraham. I think it's time for it to go. I think we saw the most clever thing that could be done with it this season when the other Matt played it to not show his cards on that initial vote and hide where he wanted to go in that vote, which I thought was an excellent move by him.
Well, very well said. I got to get into this question that I've been dying to ask you guys. Two people who might love Survivor Australia just as much, if not more than I do. I mean, I posted on our Instagram story the other day who played the better game out of the 2 winners this season, Liz from Survivor Australia or Yam Yam from Survivor 44. And I was shocked that Yam Yam ran away with it. Now, I did see who voted for what, and I'm like, some of the people who voted Yam Yam, I don't even know if they watched Survivor Australia, so that might have kind of made the numbers a little shocking. But let's talk about this. Between the 2 winners we've had this season, who played the better game? I saw someone say it's like comparing apples to oranges. Alex, you want to go?
Yeah. It really is, and even when we think about like outwit, outplay, outlast, I feel like Jam Jam was more of that social threat, like was able to maneuver so well. Not that Liz couldn't, but I would give that competitive edge to him. I would give the outplay competitive edge to Liz and just being able to maneuver more idols and more challenges. And like that final immunity challenge where she just stares at JLP and like asks him to like crank it more.
Iconic.
Iconic. One of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. So it's hard because Liz played like twice as many days as Jam Jam 2 and played such a longer season with more swaps that she had to navigate, more bigger players that she had to navigate, more players, period. So due to all those factors, I think I would give it to Liz overall. I also
Angela in the chat disagrees. Jam Jam played better than Liz.
That's fair. My heart's always going to go with the villain, and so I'm going to give it to Liz. But I don't want to discredit Jam Jam's game whatsoever because I think it was a very, very strong game.
Yeah. I think it's also easy to look at Liz's game and it being overshadowed by the fact that she was working with George, who is such a prominent player. Whereas if you look at Jam Jam's game, he appeared to be more in control of his alliance than maybe Liz did, which like if you watch Survivor for a long time, like you have to also know that you don't see everything that happens in a season and the other relationships that are occurring outside of the main strategist, right? Everyone it seemed that everyone was pointing to as Carson as the mastermind of this Tika 3 alliance. Carson's mastermind, or whatever you want to call it, his strategy cannot work without Jam Jam and Carolyn also, right? In the relationships that they built and the trust that they had together. And so I think on face value, it's easy to look at Jam Jam and go, he did more with what he had than Liz did. But I would agree with whoever kind of shared that comment of it's like comparing apples to oranges, because they're two very different gameplays. I would say I appreciate the style that Liz plays more than I appreciated the style that Jam Jam played. But yeah, I think, unfortunately, I think there a lot of the great Australian Survivor players would run some circles around some of these current U.S. Survivor players. Not all. Let me be very clear, but
put King George with the season 44 cast, and he would have had his way with them.
There wasn't King George. If you really want to see a mastery in playing Survivor in the strategy part, look at King George, how he played. Yeah. He had to be voted out. He would have won. He would have won his season. But the way he played and maneuvered through the whole game, I wouldn't put Liz against Jam Jam because he wouldn't have made it past King George. And it's just not to take anything from him as a winner. It's just that Australian Survivor is a whole different other animal when it comes to just the length of it and the ability to be able to manipulate the game and get votes and try to maneuver through and get to the end. I think it's harder. To me, Australia is harder because it's longer. You got more challenges and you just got more to overcome. Even the physical challenges, but the mental challenges of that duration is longer. So not that Jam Jam for US, Jam Jam's a clear-cut winner. Take nothing from him. Great game, great thing, but you don't match up for Australian Survivor as an equal in just the way they played the game.
I'll add one other thing that to Jam Jam's credit too. I don't think Liz was ever targeted in the way that Jam Jam was targeted the entire season, right?
He was the biggest threat around like the merge time. He was getting votes at every tribal.
Yeah, which is hard to do, especially once your name is out there. It is hard to get that name out of people's mind, and Jam Jam did an excellent job of kind of maneuvering that early part to get him to the end.
Well, let me ask an even more difficult, broader question about more people who played even more different games. Where does Jam Jam rank as a Survivor winner? Like, you don't have to give me an exact number. He ranks like the 22nd best. If you want to say kind of middle of the pack, is he towards the top? For me, it's just hard to say a new era winner is towards the top, even though I made the prediction that Josh was going to be a top 10 player all time. And he went out there and absolutely flopped. I love you, Josh. But anyway, not my brightest moment.
Randy got bad picking skills.
where does Yam Yam kind of rank here in terms of Survivor US? We'll just leave it towards Survivor US winners.
Are you saying for the new era Survivor? Or are you saying all the Survivor?
All Survivor? Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to look at it, the new era too, because that's been a hot topic. Is he the best new era winner? Which I would say.
I'll throw this out. Russell may have never won, but he was playing Survivor. He probably never won, and Yam Yam wouldn't stack up to him.
Abraham, it is just like you. I was asking about winners, and then you just threw out Russell. Let's talk about Russell.
He should have won.
About winners.
He just got a bad attitude when it came to the jury. Just like, no, we're not gonna give you that money, and that's really what it comes down to sometimes. But in my opinion, we're trying to me, it's still apples and oranges, because the way the season 439 on back were played was entirely different than what 41 is played, and it didn't have to go through a pandemic. It's confined to Fiji. It's just so many different things in there. Now, if you're going to say from 41 to 44, he's third.
I would. A lot of people. I saw a lot of people say Marianne is the best winner. And I personally would disagree. I would say, and this is going to be very hot topic. I might lose all our viewers here. Anyway, I would say Yam Yam. Then I would say Gabler. I'm sorry, everyone. Then I would say Erica. Then I would say Marianne. Personally, how I feel about the winners. But that's the good thing about a reality TV show and a TV show in general. We all can have different opinions. Alex and Caleb have different opinions every time they do the podcast. So,
but we got a criteria. The criteria is I'll play out last. What criteria are you using?
I'm using my criteria about who I actually liked winning the season. Alex, Caleb, add on here. However you want to answer this question. It's become a very, very broad question.
Yeah, that's a really tough question to answer, because each Survivor game is its own kind of society, right? That's the idea that Jeff has for the game. That's what it was based on. And we've maybe steered away from that a little bit, but each game, right? Like what someone says, what the jury says is a good Survivor game can be different from game to game. So it is hard to pick a best. I would say I would classify Yam Yam as one of the most iconic characters to have won the game, because both him and Carolyn, I think, are going to be remembered from this season. I have a hard time differentiating between 41, 42, 43, 44, just as the seasons. Yeah. I will not forget those two. And from a casting choice, they excelled. And Randy, I will also add that in terms of the people who I best understood why they won the game, I think I understood why Gabler won over any of the other winners so far, based off of the storytelling piece of the season. Mm-hmm. But I also say that again underneath Alex's skin. So
yeah, my two picks were Owen and Cassidy last season. So it's a sore subject still. So I'll answer your question kind of overall, where, and Abraham, you mentioned it too. It's just so hard to piece together, ranking them all just with them being so different. In my mind, I think of Survivor winners as like Taylor Swift albums. Like you have your favorites, but you can't pick the most recent one. You can't really fit it in just yet because it's too fresh. You got to sit with it for a couple of years before it ages, and you can kind of see how it lasts in the legacy. So it's hard to place him somewhere. I'd place him somewhere, maybe in the middle to a little bit above average, somewhere between that 50 and 75 percentile. I think if we were to have a Winners at War 2 with some of the biggest names in Survivor history, I think he could hold his own. I don't think he would be kind of running out there not knowing what he's doing. But I do think some of the greatest players of all times would still kind of run circles around him. And so that's why I'd put him average to above average. I would put him top of the most recent four. And I'd put Gabler fourth. But again, probably personal, but I would put Jim first.
That's fair. That's why I said it's a hot topic, because everyone loves Marianne, and I do too. I continue to say I would love to meet her. She's an amazing human being. I just personally thought that her winning 42 was really like, I just felt like no one wanted to vote her out because she was just this super nice, like younger sister type character. And I just
chopping block all the time. Go back and look at the season. She was on the chopping block.
Yeah. I just thought, I'm like, are we really looking at gameplay, or are we just looking at Marianne, such a good person? Let's just give her the money.
Randy,
was it for me.
I'll push back and say that is gameplay, right? Like that Marianne's ability to win over people, regardless of whatever it is, like, is a legitimate gameplay. And it's the same reason why, like, Russell Hantz loses Final Tribal Council time and time again, because he doesn't understand the social structure of the game. And so, like, I find it interesting that, at least with really the last 3 winners, especially, we didn't see enough of Erica to make me make this claim, but all 3 of them kind of played this I am who I am type of game. And I'm going to be vulnerable and honest. And I think that is very different from pre-40. And so I thinking about like a winners at war, it would be very interesting to see how the last 3 winners would play with people from Survivor history.
We'll have to wait for Alex's Winner at War Part 2 when we get to season 80 of Survivor. Really crazy, crazy to think of.
Oh, it's interesting. Like, if you threw a Boston Rob into this new era Survivor, the younger Boston Rob, the original Boston Rob, it would be a disaster show.
It would be great television. Now, the last thing I want to talk about here, before we welcome our new guests in here in a couple minutes. So Survivor 45, we have not spoke about it whatsoever yet. So I think we're halfway through this 3-hour podcast. Now would be a quick time to take a quick break from 44 and look ahead with these guys. So real quick answer, because there's something bigger we have to talk about season 45. And I think everyone might know what that is. But are we a fan of this logo? I saw a lot of people hating on it. This is like a clip art. Fans can make better. I love it. I love the color scheme. I think it's the best one of the new era, personally.
What is that on the side?
It's pelicans. It's a bird themed season.
Take that off.
I love it.
My personal favorite logo of the new era was 41. I thought it had a lot of symbolism. Yeah. It was beautiful. Like the torch coming out of the waves, it made sense. Since then, they haven't necessarily made sense to me. I think 42 is like the maze with the key. It's like, oh, there's going to be a huge maze challenge at the end. Nope, there wasn't. So I feel like 41 had the most symbolism out of all of them. So that's still my favorite. What a great logo. Oh, look at that. Oh, it was
41 was good. I'm saying they should theme it off the season. If they're not going to do themes, like 44 should have had like a giant rock and then like some like IVs hanging down on it. That should have been the logo. Caleb, a fan of the 45's logo, or
indifferent? I mean, like it's. I wish they would. If they're going to have some kind of theming, I wish they would do something with it other than just like everyone wanted to know what those chess pieces were at the voting confessional. Like, make them something in the season to like add just like a little bit to it. Like Alex says, the 42 like maze logo, like have a maze challenge, right? Yeah. So you don't have to have a theme for the season, but do something with the theming of the season.
And then this had everyone talking. And I missed it at the live event. Yeah. The possible return of the Survivor auction. I just released an article on our website about whether or not the auction is going to work in the new era, because I think there's a very likely chance that, we're all excited to have it back. But Jeff Probst has proven he has to change everything about the game. Nothing can stay the same. He has to change it. So I'm very concerned about, while I'm excited the auction's coming back, I'm very concerned that this is not going to be the auction that all the fans are looking for. When you guys saw this in the preview, did it connect with you at the time, or did you have to see it online? Because I didn't, like I said, I totally missed it. And then I saw someone tweet saying, "Oh wow, is the auction coming back?" So what were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I saw it at the finale and immediately with a lot of other people, it's like, oh, that's hopefully the auction. But Survivor likes to throw twists at the audience even. So we don't really know. I would love to see, throwing it back to Australian Survivor, a team auction, like a tribal auction where, I think it was maybe All-Stars, Australian Survivor All-Stars, where it was like, hey, you have a set amount of money, your tribe, like you vote
Well, they did that this last season too.
Okay, yeah, last season, yeah. So you bid individually with your team's money. And, in that All-Star season, there was one person who just got burned, played an idol, nullified a bunch of votes, was on the outs, and just splurged the tribe's money on personal food. I think that would add a little bit of flavor, a little bit of newness to U.S. Survivor.
I think it's going to be interesting. I think again, you listen. At least the production and Jeff are listening to the fans. So, and you're bringing back some of the stuff that made Survivor. But I will give them credit on that promo video. They must have had a different camera crew because they had some good shots. And I was like, we didn't get them shots. We were like, man, we didn't get that.
Caleb, are you Randy, excited?
I'm excited. Randy, I'm with you. I did not realize it at the time. It was only after the fact when people started tweeting about it. And I got super excited because there has been one thing that could fix this auction for US Survivor has been just hide the advantage in one of the rewards so that no one knows who is getting what, which we've seen done in other iterations of Survivor and internationally. And it works perfectly. And it's super exciting to for that one person to pull something out that they didn't realize was there, like a cup of tea. And so I hope they bring it back as is. I do think it will work as long as they hide an advantage in the reward rather than let everyone vote on the advantage.
Would you guys be happy if there if there is no advantage? Just food. If they just tell them straight up, there is no advantage.
Well,
do not hold your money. Go ahead.
In the new era of Survivor, there's only 5 food groups: pizza, spaghetti, cakes, and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So you would have to get more food in order to have an offer. That's
valid.
Randy, I would not be mad if they did not hide an advantage, but I would be mad if they told them that they were not going to hide an advantage. I want the mystery of you don't know what you're going to get, and you might not get anything.
Okay. So. I like that. I will say if Survivor is going for pissing the fans off, then they could just not do the auction. I think now that they showed that, they have to do it. Like I've been thinking about this. If season 45 comes up and there's no auction, the fans are going to, they're going to need to make Why Jeff Sucks on whatever that podcast is again, On Fire with Jeff. They're going to need to make that a longer segment. Oh man. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Real quick before we let you guys go, you guys are one of my favorite Survivor podcasts. I love listening to you guys every week. If you guys didn't know, these two bicker nonstop. I feel like when you come on the show, I have to be like a referee. You guys were like behaved today.
We're live, so we try.
Oh man, where can fans catch you guys at?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Speaking Llama. We have our interviews with Australian Survivor castaways on YouTube at Speaking Llama as well. We're not on Twitter or anything like that, but we're at Apple Podcast, Spotify, anywhere you get a podcast, you can find us.
Is there any off-season plans, or is it a Survivor break? Because usually for us, we'd have Survivor South Africa. There's no Survivor season. So we talked about doing like recapping an older season as if it was airing live. So like every Wednesday, just like we do for current seasons. But I told Abraham I need like 3 weeks off of Survivor. I after Survivor Australia and Survivor 44 and they overlapped, I need like a quick break.
Yeah. We are with you. There's that 4-week period where it was like 3 interviews, 2 recaps a week. It was a lot of podcasting. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We haven't totally figured out our off-season schedule yet, but likely some kind of one-off episodes and stuff to keep talking about Survivor to tide us over until the fall.
Maybe another collaboration. Last summer, we did the Ultimate Survivor Draft, so you never know what we might do. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go check it out. But, gentlemen, it is always a pleasure. Thank you for coming on and doing this with us, and enjoy the rest of your night. Definitely go check them out, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Good question.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Who's in Austin?
Wait.
Who's in Austin?
I am.
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay, yeah. Have you guys met at like a Texas live event?
I only have to be it's funny. I only have to be at the Austin like 1 day a week. So I come to my office and I come back home.
Go ahead, hit me up.
What's up?
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. It's been a
take care,
pleasure.
guys.
All right. Well, man, speaking llama, always a pleasure to have them on the show. Our next guest is a fellow castaway, just like Mr. Eric Abraham here. They were on the exact same season. It is going to be the third straight season he's come on and talked Survivor with us. So we must be doing something right. From season 41, it is Nasir. He is back.
What's up, mine?
Look at that beautiful backdrop. Nasir, welcome back to the show.
How are you, Randy?
What's up, man?
Hi, I am doing outstanding. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great.
Man, we have been looking forward to chatting about season 44 with you. So overall, I got to get another Castaways perspective because I know what Abraham has thought about the season. Overall, what have you thought about the season as a whole? Being a fan back home, watching it. Now it's been a couple years since your season. What'd you think?
Well, overall, I would say one of the best season in new era, hands down. I mean, like one of the best season. I really enjoyed it. And you need a transparent, very honest answer, right? I really enjoyed the season, and yeah,
it was
Abraham.
Look,
these two, you can never have them together. You don't know the trouble that they're going to get into. Well, Nasir, we've spoken a lot about Yam Yam winning. Do you feel like? Let's talk about the Tika 3. I feel like we really haven't focused on this incredible alliance this season that went from, it was so chaotic. There was so many times there was a moment Carolyn didn't vote with Yam Yam, and then he was hurt about that. And then we saw it later on where Carolyn was left out of the vote and she was very hurt, but they managed to stay together. And that's something we really don't see in modern Survivor, are these alliances sticking together until the very end. But I want to know, who truly played the better game? Because we saw Carolyn get no votes. Yam Yam won the finale, won the season. And if Carson was there, would he have beaten Yam Yam? Out of the three, who played the better game in your opinion?
See, all of them are very unique, right? It's not just Yam Yam better than Caroline or Carson or Heidi, right? Did I pronounce her
Heidi, yes.
All right. So I always get her name.
You're all
good. So see, it's again, all of them, they played a great game, right? So that is the reason they were there. But it's all about at the end how they pledge their case to the jury.
And
right?
Yam Yam did a great job pleading his case.
Yeah. So
and
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, he did a great job pleading his case, but I also thought that Heidi did a really great job. I think for me personally, I was more than anything shocked that Heidi only got one vote. It did not shock me that Carolyn got none, because we already saw throughout the season, her game it wasn't taken seriously. We saw Danny and Brandon ignore her. She was ignored at the merge feast when she kept telling people Josh doesn't have an idol. They kind of just shrugged her off. So that didn't shock me, but I thought Heidi and Abraham's been saying how she really picked up the pace the last few episodes. I was more shocked that Heidi didn't get more than one vote, because I thought she also spoke very well at that final tribal council.
Well, here's a question for you. Give the audience a little bit behind the scenes what happens at Ponderosa before y'all come over to Tribal Council, and there's gonna be the final three. How do y'all map that out before y'all come over there? You're coming to vote for somebody to win the game of Survivor. What's the conversation back at Ponderosa? That's what we really want to know.
See, I can say this. All right, it's in Ponderosa. Season 41 was a different game than season 42, 43, 44. Because it's a different personalities, different. So for me, I was like, I don't care. I just wait. Whoever convinced me, I'll give my vote. Because I went with open-minded, right? Because you are not allowed to talk about to whom you should vote, right? And normally, I would happy to say that the case was with season 41. Nobody sit together to talk each other. Right? Because I hate to say that, but I love them, but at the same time, well, you don't feel even to go and talk to someone. Hey, no, because to begin with, you can't do that because the managers, all the entire team, right there, right, 24/7 with you, right? So yeah, I don't think so. That is not the case on 41 because I don't know about season 42, 43, how they reacted or how they interacted in Ponderosa, right? But 41, forget about it.
Quit talking about our family, man.
Our family I'm talking about. Well, after the game and everything, great. We had great time. We met in Chicago. We met in all over. Even me and Abraham, we had an amazing, story. Later, we can talk about it. So, yeah.
Oh man, absolutely love you guys. I love the insight. This is why you want to get Survivor players on the show because they have the behind the scenes that people like me who haven't had the honor to play yet. I don't have that information. So, it's interesting to hear, you went with an open mind, and I hope that all jury members, when they go, at least go in with an open mind. Cause that's been they don't, Abraham, I know, but that's been a thing. Did they go in?
Petty. They super petty.
Yeah, they don't because I don't think that everybody, maybe one or two may go with open-minded, right? All right. Again, the new era has evolved a lot since season 41. Definitely, we were the guinea pigs over there, right, Abraham?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we was definitely. Let's see if this works. Let's try this out on them. Let's see if it works. And we just,
you guys were the guinea pigs, unfortunately.
Okay, so here's a question we asked previously, Nasir. Since you were there, you're sitting there. You crown a new winner survivor, and they bring pizza out.
Can you repeat that again?
So when you're there and they crown a new winner survivor, what are y'all thinking about when you go from playing the game to now let's all talk about the game of Survivor? We got the brand new winner sitting here. It's Erica. Here's some pizza and champagne.
He's talking the after show. What it's like to go through the after show.
For me, I was thinking if I'm sitting the final three, I'm definitely winning that show. All right. No, hey, you have to be honest, right? But again, I'm very happy for Erica, whoever will be winning, because again, no matter what, you have to have a little bit of luck. You can be good at strategy or in gameplay, or you can be the beast out there. You can be the main provider. It doesn't matter. You need to have a little bit of luck too.
Well, so there's this question I've been looking forward to asking you, Nasir, and it's perfect time because we have you and Abraham here. So for season 41, we did say that they've tested out a lot of stuff. You guys were the guinea pigs. One of the things that they changed before season 41 is how they casted the show. We've seen much more diverse casts, and with that, much more diverse winners as well. As we got Erica, first ever Canadian winner. Then you had Marianne, followed by Gabler, and now Yam Yam. When you look at the first 40 seasons, all American winners. And since then, 2 Canadians, 1 American, and the first ever Puerto Rican winner in Yam Yam. So I wanted to ask you guys what it means to have I think these casts much more representation on the show. And as well, we've seen a lot of success from people from, other territories like Canada, a whole different country, and then Puerto Rico coming on and winning the whole thing. What does this mean, how they cast the show now?
I would say that the best way. Even season 41, I mean, like, we had very diverse cast.
Yeah.
So this way it started, right? So they're doing a great job casting to how to balance the diverse cast, and also then it shows the world and entire world, right, who are watching this show, that hey, this is America, this is CBS, this is how Survivor have evolved. Forget about old era or whatever. New era has totally changed, which is, I'm very happy because I feel like I'm very included in it. So correct me if I'm wrong, Abraham.
Well, we didn't know about the initiative that was levied against CBS to get a most diverse cast, because we were already in Fiji. We were going through the process and everything else, and we were there 2 weeks early. We didn't learn out about that. But I will say this: when we got up to our very first challenge, and the series gave his story of how Survivor was a part of him growing up, learning English, and being on there and looking at the diversity that we had on our cast. We could see each other before we did that challenge, but we couldn't talk to each other. So I had never heard Nasir talk, but to hear the passion in his voice, and now he stands on that same mat with me, looking at a game of Survivor, but we brought them all together. And the diversity that was there, some of it, because, we can say, okay, Danny, Deshaun, me, we could see that. But I didn't know that Erica was from Canada until afterwards, and that she was Filipino until afterwards, because we just didn't know. We just know that we had a very diverse cast, and I'm proud to be a part of that cast. There will be a day that I say I wasn't proud to be a part of season 41. The things that they tried on us, I'm not that happy about, because we had no idea coming in, and we shouldn't have. We shouldn't have known what was going to happen when we coming in, but our expectations were we were going to be coming off of the old era of Survivor. We didn't know anything about the new thing. But to be a part of that cast, and to be able to still say that we still communicate with our castmates, and we still keep in touch for the most part, it's a testament to the reality world in itself. And like Nasir, we may not see each other every day, but if he calls me and say, Abraham, I need you in California, I'm flying. I'm going out there. He's gonna always be my Survivor brother, because we shared an experience together. And CBS, I give them credit for putting us all together and making sure that we see the game and we enjoyed the game. There were times where there was no gameplay, where we as a tribe stood out on the beach for our tribe, and just admired the fact of where we're at, what we were looking at. And at that time, we looked at the Milky Way galaxy. And to be able to reflect on all the seasons that come after us, we know what you're going to see for a moment when you're not playing the game. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful environment, but it's so many cultural diversities that are in there, and we get a chance to play that alongside different people. I think it's great.
Well said. I just had to ask you guys, because I felt like, Nasir, you said you felt like you were a big part of that. You are a big part of that. You made that statement right on the boat, day one of this new era, how it helped you learn English and stuff. And I think it's wonderful television. And I love the story, Yam Yam becoming the first Puerto Rican winner. I love how the show has gone in the direction of more diverse cast. And now something that's a little more.
Randy, don't
Yeah.
forget, Heidi is also from Puerto Rico.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
you had two people from Puerto Rico in the final three. Here's the funny thing. Nasir was the only person that I feared that could beat me in a challenge on Survivor. I had racked and stacked them. Nasir, Danny, and Brad. The rest of them, I was like, I'm good. They ain't gonna get me. But Nasir seemed like he wouldn't quit. I was like, oh, I might have to die.
Mention, I do have to. I'm glad you stopped me, Abraham, because I do also have to throw out with the finale being Heidi, Carolyn, and Yam Yam. That is the most representation of LGBTQ that we've ever had in a finale. So not only, that's another side of the whole representation thing, is that's our most LGBTQ basically finale we've ever had. So it is incredible what CBS has done with casting, and these casts, like all of them, have been electric. Nasir, I have been dying to ask you this question as well. Earlier on in the season, we haven't touched base on it, but we had a lot of medical visits, And I think the most prominent one was Matthew climbing the rock and we saw another person, Carolyn and Yam Yam, bless their hearts, they didn't get hurt, but they decided to climb a rock as well. But unfortunately for Matt, he like completely threw out his shoulder. He cut his foot. Walk us through this, being someone who you've been out, you've been around the block, you've been outside a lot, Nasir. Is this something that Matthew should have ever done? Climb this rock in the middle of the ocean?
No, it's on our island too.
I hate to say that was the worst move that he did on that day, because see, for me or Abraham or whoever we played, right? Okay, so I can swim, I can dive, I can climb trees and everything. There are certain days I felt that this is not the day. Me and Danny, we walked all the way to the reef. Then I feel like, no, I'm not going to go dive and fish, because the waves, the current was so strong. I didn't want to get, because one day Sydney came with so many cuts on all kind of stuff. It was crazy. I'm like, yeah, that's great. She's really trying to feed us, and she came with a couple of, like, at least 6 tiny fish. She did her best, right? But yeah, on the other hand, then I told them, no, do I go again? I mean, like, we walk all the way to like couple hundred, like 200 meters to the reef, but I felt like, no, don't do it. Then sometime I climb around, get crabs. I'm like, it tells me don't climb more than that, because I always look, I'm like, Matthew, that's one it's one opportunity that you get, or maybe I hope he may get again, but we never know, right? We don't know, right? So, like, don't ruin it for you. Yeah, if you want to have a good TV or good anything, I would say jump off of the boat. So you're jumping
do something that doesn't result in you being injured.
So what do you get? Really, what do you get? Are they okay? I don't think that the producers or all the workers that over there, they do going to hide an idol on top of that rocky mountain. Nobody wants to lose a hand or arm, right? So okay, it is worth it. If you climb a coconut tree, at least you can come out with a coconut. You can pick a coconut, right? I'm like,
so this is funny. So that rock is on our island, the island that we were on. There was no time that anybody was going to go out there, because you got to wait till low tide to get out there. So nobody was going out there, and that's where we had T2 at. So nobody definitely was going out there. So I asked Matt when I saw him in New York. I said, man, what happened, man? He said, look, when I started climbing that rock, production came and got the drones and everything. They didn't say stop. They didn't stop it.
They never say stop, because that's all on you, right? So if I'm climbing a tree, then I remember I cut my finger, try to put a bamboo in between in a branch. They don't care, but I was careful too. So yeah, if you want to be stupid, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say Matthew. I mean, in general.
Make a stupid decision.
If I want to be stupid, they don't care,
No. They will film it for you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I heard a rumor that Matthew thought there was something up there, like he thought he saw something.
Future players, they will never put anything up that high.
They will not put something.
But they will film you falling.
Don't say never.
No, let me say. Here's the thing. Logistically, people haven't seen that rock. That rock is not to be played with. There was no reason for him to be on that rock.
You're telling me Jeff Probst will never put something up in the tree? I could definitely see.
Oh yeah, tree, yeah. But you're putting your life in danger on that rock, because the way that rock is situated. But now there are other ways you can get hurt on Survivor that people just never see. I mean, you could accidentally chop your finger with a rusty machete, and then you definitely going for that one. There are holes in the ground with the birds that are nocturnal live there. You can sprain an ankle. There are plenty of other things you could do, except fall off a rock and almost kill yourself.
Yeah.
No, they're not gonna put anything up there for that.
No, like maybe on a tree. So I remember trying to find that idol. I climbed many trees, at least 100 trees, I would say. Try to find, and because if like maybe 20 feet the max, right? But the rock, no, come on, it's.
Hey, where was your idol at? Where'd you find it at?
On a tree.
On a tree?
So you heard it here first. Nasir, you would never see Nasir climbing a rock out there.
Unless okay, all right, let's put this on Randy. Unless there is all the items that we found this time on season 41, there were no clues, right? Normally, past seasons that they had go to here, climb that tree, 6 foot, all those clues that they gave. Unless they gave a clue, all right, swim up to that rock, then go around. Yeah, then it's kind of yes, there is evidence, there is something,
Okay, let me ask this, because a lot of people were talking about this when they saw Carolyn and Yam Yam climbing the rock, and they were like, "No, don't do it. This is like deja vu. They're gonna get hurt again." Should production, moving forward, have to tell the castaways,
No.
don't climb the rock?
Nope.
Or is it just kind of like, if you're gonna do it,
you don't Survivor, take your chances. They don't look when you're making a fire and the smoke is choking you out. They don't tell you might want to get out there before you suffocate yourself. You know what they say? Roll them. They
can. The camera crews cannot talk to us. So
yeah, they don't say anything to us.
So
we know they're there, but they don't.
Well, future players, if you want to be the one who climbs that rock, just go for it. As Anthony says right here, you only live once.
Anthony,
and then it goes on to say, it's their decision.
Yeah, get on up there, Anthony.
Once, but you don't want to die climbing that rock.
You don't want to get kicked out of the game because you want to get injured on. Unfortunately, Bruce got injured really doing a challenge. He went all out for a challenge and he got injured, and we're gonna see him back in 45, which I think is great. But he did it doing a challenge. If you're gonna go out doing a challenge. Don't go out because you decided you thought something was up there. No rocks.
Go ahead, Nasir.
I lost my entire arm was numb after a challenge, right? The last challenge I did, I went through physical therapy for 6 weeks. All right, that's no. I mean, as Abraham said, that Bruce, he went because he hit it. He doesn't know. He's playing. He's giving everything, like Jeff said. Give everything, right? Dig deep or whatever. That's what he was doing.
Wait, I wish I knew you were going there because I have a soundbite. I played it earlier. That's how you do it.
Yes.
Nasir,
when we jumped off the. So when we jumped off the ship for the first challenge, we actually you jump off the ship and you're down there and you're like, I'm fully dressed. Is anybody gonna save me? And you're like, well, I'm in this deep water. And it's deep water, you like, and then I gotta start swimming. Now they'll let you drink some water before they come save you. They're not just gonna automatically come and save you. They're gonna let you drink a little water.
Oh, well, that's Survivor. That's why we all love going out there and playing the game, and why people like me keep applying every single season. Nasir, we've got a couple more minutes here with you before we welcome in our new guests. I have to ask, we saw them introduce another challenge this year, and feel free to add your opinion on how they reuse challenges, if you would like, how Carson practiced the challenges and he had the puzzles prepared. But I wanted to ask you, we didn't get to see it your season, but it's become kind of a tradition that they do the last gasp challenge where you have to be under the bars and hold your breath while the tide comes in. Do you think you would do well at that challenge if you were out there competing in the last gasp?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I will do good.
How long do you think you can last? Give us a time here, Nasir. How long do you think you could last?
Oh my God, I don't know. I'm being honest with you.
Hey, look, Nasir, you won't be the first one. I'll tell you that. You won't be the first, but you ain't gonna win.
I won't be the first for sure. But I won't. It's again, it depending on the day, depending on the situation. When you're going, some days you will feel like you want to give everything what you have. Some days you gave everything, but still you will lose. So every single place they go out, all they want to win, right? But you don't have a control of your body. I was thinking like Erica won that the challenge that we were doing, like not even 30 seconds right after I dropped. Jeff said, Nasir, you have to come down. I came down because I can feel my right arm. Then right after 30 seconds, Erica got down. I don't know if so again, we never know. Anything can happen. But I'm sure I will be not the first one to go.
No. Yeah, which right there. You won't be the first one.
Nasir would not be the first one to go. Nasir, before we let you go here, where can fans catch you on social media? What are you up to? And do you have anything else to say about season 44 as a whole?
Season 44 was a great. I really enjoyed it, and no, I can see that Survivor is evolving and keep evolving, and so where you can see me, you can Google me. Normally, I'm not on social media lately. I'm somewhere focusing on my work. Well, broke my finger playing cricket. I'm going through that and doing not weightlifting lately, but doing a lot of cardios. I just finished my 10K today. So yeah, still try to be active. So I can do an amazing race driving around in Orlando with Abraham.
Look, do not ride in the car with Nasir, man. He will not get you there. We're gonna talk about that later. Hey, are you coming down to Florida this in December?
Yes, I am.
I don't even know when you're coming because I ain't riding with you. I'm gonna take my own. I'm gonna get to the. I'll get to
Definitely.
But we are going to get Indian food again.
If you guys can make it out to the Hearts of Reality event, that's what they were talking about. Happens in December. You can get your tickets. And hopefully, Nasir, I say this every time, hopefully we see you back out on the island. I want to see you go through this last gasp challenge. I really want to see it. Nasir, it is always a pleasure, man. And thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you very much.
My Survivor brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great night, man.
Thank you.
All right. Nasir, always a character. I love Nasir and just an amazing person all around. But yeah, we got to keep on moving here. We are, Abraham, I'm shocked. Neither one of us has had to pee yet. And that is an accomplishment in itself. Going on 2 hours.
Is that the marker?
But, yeah, but we have another incredible guest for you guys today. He is the best Russell in the Survivor community, hands down. Let's get this guy in here. Russell from Russell Muscle TV. I did a collab with them a few weeks back. Russell, welcome to the show, man. Ever since I did the collab with you, I have been dying to get you on the show. And you were like the first person I reached out to getting guests for this long 3-hour podcast because your insight is incredible, my dude. He does these amazing videos every week. It's basically the 20 things you missed. So Russell, welcome to the show. And how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing okay. Honestly, my headphones literally just broke minutes before getting on here. I hope you guys can hear me. I can hear you.
Yep.
Everything's going good. Yeah, I can hear out of this one. So that's good, Randy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this was awesome. I always love chatting Survivor. So when I got your invite over email, I was like right away, yes, 100%. We got to do this. I have to go in the later time slot. I said, look, anything past 9 p.m., I'm good for that. I was at a swim meet. I'm also a swim coach. So I was at a swim meet the entire weekend. My lungs are a little burnt from being in a chlorine environment the whole weekend. And that's why my voice is like this. I may have to mute my microphone every once in a while to blow my nose. But other than that, I'm excited to chat some Survivor 44. Abraham, I got your signature on my hat. I met you at the premiere party in Toronto, nice. So it's so cool to finally chat Survivor with you. This is going to be a great time.
Oh, man.
When you met me in Toronto, man, that was a party.
I don't like to bother people like, hey, I make Survivor. But no. I'm a fan of you. So I just said, hey, this is so cool to meet you. I asked you how I can get on the show. I don't like being weird.
Oh, man, we got to see you on the show. Your energy is electric,
hey, we got to do this again.
Hey, but you would be good at the last gasp challenge because you're a swim coach as well.
Oh, yeah, I would win that one for sure. And I would not, like my threat level for physical challenges, I'd be like Franny out there for sure, 100%. So, yeah, Abraham, you're on here somewhere. It was so cool meeting you in Toronto. That was super, super cool.
Some guy just said in the comments, Fat Dad Slim, best wrestler in Survivor, hands down, or did you say hands down? Because that's genius. If I'm throwing
one.
Oh man, that is genius. That comment is incredible. Well, Russell, I got to get your opinion now. We've been asking all of our guests tonight what you thought about season 44 as a whole, because it's been the hot topic. How does it rank compared to the other New Era seasons? Personally, I loved it. It was an electric cast. We had a great finale. There was some interesting, exciting twists they implemented. And besides one episode, I thought it was honestly, compared to what we've been getting, a nearly perfect new era season. So what did you think about the season as a whole?
It's crazy what happens when you trust your casting and you let the players play. And that's kind of like been the story of the past couple of seasons of Survivor. It's bad. I'm doing my season review video coming out some point this week. I think it's going to come out on Thursday, and I haven't fully decided where I've ranked the season yet in the new era. I've gone back and forth. At the very beginning, I said behind 43 just because I was just so pissed off. I was like, I like Yam Yam as a winner. I'm sure we'll get into all this. But I was like, Carolyn got 0 votes. What? No, Carolyn's my winner pick. Give her a vote. So I was a little pissed off on that. But then I thought, no, these players are so awesome. I was so obsessed with the Tika 3 the entire time. Maybe it's the best season. But then I thought, no, this season, sure, the characters were so good, but also like stand up, cheer, get off your couch moments. I don't know if this season had too many of those. Sure, the characters were good and the downtime was awesome, which is getting me super excited for Survivor 45 with 90-minute episodes. But I don't know in a couple of years from now how much we'll remember this season for those big strategic moments. And so then I thought, oh, maybe it's worse than 40. So I'm all over the place. It was a good season of Survivor. It was like a good slice of pizza. Pizza Hut. This is like Pizza Hut Survivor.
Oh man, we enjoyed it. Well, one thing I've been excited to talk to you about, man, is you have an extensive knowledge about Survivor as a whole, and you can look back, and I feel like you have the ability to pick out certain, cast members, castaways who have been out there. You have a great memory is what I'm trying to get at here. And I wanted to ask, we haven't talked about this yet. We're eventually going to get to a returnee season where we can assume a lot of the returnees are going to be from 41 and beyond if they do like a new era returnee season. How many castaways from this cast do we think they possibly could bring back? Because it was such a good cast. Surely the Tika 3 are guaranteed to be coming back. And then you could make arguments for a lot of the other players as well.
Yeah. So if I like to bet, so I am a betting man. If I was a betting man, and a few months ago you said that the first returning player on the Tika Alliance, not just the new era of Survivor as a whole, but the first returning player on Tika wasn't going to be Carolyn, wasn't going to be Yam Yam, wasn't going to be Carson, I'd be like, no, you're wrong. But I'm excited to see Bruce back. Like that's going to be super awesome. I'm a little worried about him. We've seen the promo, him jumping off the boat, the marooning super aggressively. So Bruce, calm down a little bit. We don't want you going out day one again. But no, you're absolutely right. I think maybe it was the lack of advantages that's had this season the cast shine through, because I think the casting team of Survivor, especially in the new era, has been top tier. It's just the editing, the cast have had to be on a backseat just so we can understand all these new things Jeff's thrown into the game. But you got to think Yam Yam's coming back. If it's tough as a winner, but you got to think Carolyn, you got to think Carson, but also I don't know if they get invited back for just a basic, I don't know, second chance game changers type season, because their story arcs were pretty good. Maybe you bring Carson back for a fire making kind of thing, but Carolyn, her story was pretty good in that season. Yam Yam, he's a winner, so obviously. And when you go farther back, more players I'd like to see is when I did my season ranking podcast with Pritium, Ethan Animal, and Flynn Masters last Friday, I said I want to see Franny back. 100%.
I do too. I would love to see Franny back.
Let's do a dynamic duo season. That'd be awesome. Let's do Franny and Matt. Boom. That's a great duo right there. But no, I think Franny has so much potential now with the players knowing how much of a physical threat she is. Maybe not, but Franny had so much potential in Survivor 44 if she just, I think, Randy, you and I talked about this during the podcast we did on my channel, but Franny, you should have dropped out of that challenge, protected Matt. That would have been good. Franny, did you really need to win reward? No. Take these things away, and then her threat level goes way low. So I think Franny for sure needs to come back. I wish Survivor 45. We should have just done 2 tribes. Let's bring back Bruce and let's bring back Matthew from falling off the cliff. That would have been so good. Just 2 players pulled from the game. That would have been awesome. And I think Matthew is one of the best, like, he had so much potential in that season, what I'm trying to say. And when you go as far back, the first boot of the season, so much potential in Maddie. We had potential all the way through. Like things like Matt, not the best strategically, I don't think, but also Matt had some weird positive energy that was different that we hadn't really seen before. I want to see another character like Matt in a future season. Someone who's just positive, talking about positivity. Jamie as well. Like
Jamie, yeah, there's a lot of positive.
I could get on the list. This season probably has the most returning players out of the new era.
I would like to see Danny. I mean, Danny is a throwback to playing. He played every single moment of the game.
That's full tilt boogie right there, I think.
Yeah.
No more full tilt boogie. We can not.
You know what? I was like, full tilt boogie. Yeah, Jeff.
He said it again in the after show. He once again talked about full tilt boogie, and I'm like, we cannot seriously be bringing this up again. Like, I was shocked that he brought it up again.
Consult the staff that's here on words that you want to use during the show. But you know what, Claire? I wouldn't mind seeing Claire come back and play. I think she played a Mashable game. It just wasn't sitting out challenges. Shouldn't be a vote out, but Survivor's finished.
I would be shocked if they bring Claire back.
Yeah,
an amazing Twitter account. I would be shocked if they bring back Claire, just because I feel like Jeff was so butthurt that she sat out every single challenge that I don't know if he would allow her to come back. Unfortunately, I do have to ask, we haven't said his name yet, but Russell Bean, someone from Canada. We have to talk about the Canadian representation this season in Kane. I have to ask your opinion on it. Were you proud of your fellow Canadian or no?
100. I'm always proud of the Canadians on Survivor. You always got to be. I think Kane was one of those cases of, we had a dominating winner this season in regards to the edit, the 4th biggest edit ever for a winner. We had Boston Rob, we had Richard Hatch, we had Tony, and now Yam Yam has the 4th most confessionals for a winner. So that's up there. All these big characters, I think Kane was a little bit forgotten about. I mean, even one of the editors, the messed up Kane and Matt, they mixed the names up in one of the confessionals.
Iconic.
Super, super iconic. But I met Kane briefly at the RHAP live event in Toronto, and super, super cool dude. He won't be coming back for a future season. I don't see any possibility of that. But Canadians, whenever they're on Survivor, they're going to be my winner pick every single time. So go Kane, go.
Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So
hey, they know how to play the game. Also, I have to throw this out before we get to our next topic. I have to shout them out. Russell, you have puzzles that people can get, right? Are you doing any? How can they get them? I gotta ask.
Yeah. So the Survivor 44 Idol Plays, my store, the brand I do puzzles on is called Idol Plays. You can go to idolplays.com, or really the link in any of my videos. I plug it in there. We are offline right now. I turned the store offline just so I could take a break. It's pretty overwhelming keeping up with everything, but I'll be back. Maybe in the summer, but for sure I'll do a Survivor 45 drop. But it's super, super fun. A little overwhelming. I didn't know how much I was getting into with 3D printing. I'd never had a 3D printer before. I didn't know how much work is involved in, like, I'm not an engineer. I'm not smart. I don't think I'm a smart guy, Maybe I'd like to play dumb for when I ever get on Survivor. But it was a big learning curve figuring everything out. I had 5 puzzles available for the Idol Plays Survivor 44 drop, a fire puzzle. It was a puzzle on Survivor 42 I did with 4 pieces, which I give one of those away in every single one of my episode recaps, which is super cool. I did the Snake to the Top challenge, so that one's not a puzzle, where it's like a little tabletop version of the snake game where Matthew was able to win before he left the game with his injury. I do the Will It Go Round challenge. So that's the one we haven't seen in a while, where the guys balance and they go like this. That's a really, really fun one. And then I also did the crate puzzle as well, which was the first puzzle we saw in Survivor 43. So it was a big success. Thank you for everyone who supported Idle Plays, and that, like, really that just helps support me and the channel. And it's kind of been proven, if you're going to be on Survivor, you got to be like Carson, right? He dominated every single time there was a puzzle. And so if you're going to be on a future season, make sure you check out idleplays.com.
Yeah, you gotta put in the work before you go out there. Abraham loves talking about challenges.
Okay.
So let's talk about, we haven't discussed challenges at all this season. Basically, which challenge was the best? Which one stood out above the rest? And then you could also say, if you want to, which one was the worst? Which one that you just thought, this challenge is kind of meh. So anyone want to go first? Anyone got something in mind?
Yeah, I got a little hot take here. Let's not do Last Gasp. I like that challenge. Why are we doing it every single, like, if we don't do it next season, that's good. But I don't want to see an iconic challenge, like it's repetition be like harnessed or kind of taken away a little bit here by doing it every single season. It was so cool to see in Survivor 43. And if we didn't see it in Survivor 43, it would have been so cool to see here. But I'm worried we're gonna see it every single season. So let's not do that.
I
season
kind of
for
feel
Survivor
that
45.
with
You know what I mean?
I kind of feel that way with the whatever they call it, the simulation, which is the final challenge they do.
Oh, with
That
the
has
balls rolling
been-
around?
Yeah, that has been like a staple. Like they do that every year at like the final immunity challenge. And I'm like, can we do, I feel like it's got to be grand, like bigger. I feel like the last immunity challenge of the season needs to be one of those where it's an obstacle course where they kind of integrate other challenges they've done already through the season, like little mini parts of that, where you touch, if you had a challenge earlier on where you had to shoot like a basketball, put that in, but then have a part where you have to do like a mini snake puzzle and like basically integrate all the challenges you've done throughout the season. And then I do think they should have like this big puzzle at the very end, 100 pieces. I don't make them work for it. And I just feel like that. I think it's kind of anticlimactic.
I prefer to see
like
suffering. I want you to suffer. I want you to be on Survivor. I want you to be hungry. I want you to have to dig deep. I think Brandon dropped out. Lauren won this one. She won this one. And you basically have to be able to outwit, outplay, outlast somebody. And those are the challenges. I would go even so far, peek over at Australian challenges and glean some off of their challenges. Just to say, okay, let's freshen up a little bit. What I probably would say is be prepared to come out there and play the game of Survivor, but you shouldn't be able to order and practice. Because then it's kind of, to me, I don't know how level that is. Yeah, you can.
Hey, don't tell Russell that. That's how this man.
Yeah, I'm like, I want you to come.
Abraham,
out
I'm going to be sending you some puzzles, okay? Like this.
Look, I missed some other puzzles. I'm like, I like the fact that you go out there, but I also like the fact it keeps you guessing. So you can integrate a puzzle in there, but we already know the 3 puzzles. It's either going to be the upside down bat puzzle. And it's going to be the other one puzzle. I do like the slide puzzle because it's hard. It's not something that you could just master in a minute. You got to go out there and play. So if you're going to do a puzzle, make it a new puzzle. Make it something where they really got to say, you know what, I got to put some work in. But I like a physical challenge. I like a physical challenge that's not catered toward a man or a woman, just physicality. No matter which one of us, they can win. Because I think on ours, you had to run across the beam. Somebody had to swim. And then somebody did something at the end or shoot a basket or something. And I thought that was a great challenge because it took the entire team to get that one done. But I want to see real competition where they're competing and the winner does win because they actually put some time to get it done.
I'll just say my favorite challenge of the season when Franny had to outlast everyone in the rain. She was fighting Danny. It was an incredible battle. That's going to stick with me. That challenge in particular, just because the scenes, like the way they shot that, the cinematography that they have in this new era of the pouring rain, and then I had no idea who was going to win. I was like, are they going to drop? So amazing challenge. Russell, while we have you here, I do have to. We have to bring up your winner pick was Carolyn, and the funny thing is, when I joined you on your show, I said I think Franny's going to win, and she got eliminated the very very next episode, which was perfect. That always happens. It's a curse that I have. I need to just stop picking people. So walk us through how disappointed or how shocked you were that Carolyn didn't get a single vote at the final tribal council.
Yeah. The real story here is Yam Yam completely killed the final tribal council performance. He talked. He's a good talker. What can I say? He's a good talker, and the jury ate up everything he was saying. And then you had Carolyn, who her big thing is being an emotional player. She'll be the first one to say it, and she owns that role perfectly. She choked this final tribal council. I really don't see a world where she did beat Yam Yam in the end, but I do see a possibility where if she didn't choke like she did here, she does get a couple votes here or there. And it just is, she took too much of the emotional sitting back route. I think she got too much in her head and didn't hype up her own game as much as she should have, because the jury didn't see much of her game. We saw her game. We saw the edit, but I don't think the jury saw too much of it. They saw Carson in control, and we all know, take exit interviews with a grain of salt, blah, 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 whatever. Carson would have won if he made the final tribal council. And so people saw Carson and Yam Yam working together. They linked those two. Yam Yam they see as the guy in control between him and Carolyn. Carolyn needed to explain why she made the vote she did, why she did the thing she did, and she failed. The reason I picked Carolyn as my winner pick, one, just the character of Carolyn is amazing, and I just thought a person like that in the new era of Survivor can win. I was a big fan of watching her play the game, and I just thought the stars could align in a way where she could win. She had an idol at that point when I still made that winner pick. I was hopeful, what can I say? I always pick the Canadian, and I'll pick my fan favorites usually to win as well. It wasn't the smartest move, but I came close, third place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you came close. I will say the nullified take is here. I mean, again, we talked to Kahuna earlier. If you guys have never checked out the nullified take, you got to go do so. Justice for Carolyn. She deserved better, but Yam Yam did do really well in that final tribal. And then I think Carolyn is the new era's Amanda Kimmel. I could see that. I could definitely see that, but I agree. I thought that Yam Yam killed it. But do we think, how close would Yam Yam and Carson have been if the final three was a Tika trio? How close would that be?
I think we're doing an injustice to Heidi in her last. If Heidi had played like she did those last 3 or 4 episodes throughout the whole show, Heidi would have been the winner pick. She was masterful to the end. We just didn't see her until the end. So she really didn't have anything to say, I'm going to stand on this and be better than Yam Yam, who was a target early on. Carson was never a target. I think one time they targeted him. He got 1 vote against him early on. I think they would have canceled each other out. I think you'd have had to make a decision on which one of these 3 are truly the leader or the head of this particular situation where we vote for them to win versus the other one. Yam Yam saying, hey, I control the votes. Carson saying, I'm controlling the votes. And this is where edit takes us away. We only see what CBS lets us see. We don't know what's going on behind the scene. I just think it would have been hard to differential between which one of them really would have took enough votes to win. Carolyn, you're right. Carolyn, great player, great representation, but you got to be at the end, sell your story. And it couldn't have been an emotional story. It had to be, I found an idol. I didn't share the information with anybody. I got an alliance and I stuck with my alliance and I played here and I did this. But we didn't get that. We got the emotional side of Carolyn, which is who she is. But when it comes to talking to the tribal, they want to know, convinced, yeah, you voted me out, but you saying Carson did it.
Well, I mean, Russell, so you said it. If Carson made the final 3, you think he would have won?
Yeah, I do. From the edit, no, I don't think so. From the edit, Yam Yam dominated the whole time, confessional account wise, right? So, but that was because Jeff tells us there's no winner pick. Jeff, that's BS. There's no
I was
winner
gonna
edit.
say, I think if you go
I think if
back
Carson
and
makes the end, the edit changes, right?
ooh, yeah, that's
Oh well,
a
yeah,
good
yeah.
take.
Because you
Right? Like, obviously.
yeah.
Well,
the
I
edit has
was
to change.
when you go back and watch this season, I went back and rewatched the first couple episodes with my girlfriend who has never seen Survivor, and like knowing
Get a new girlfriend.
But hey, now hold up.
Hey,
He made it
you
2
have one.
hours and 34 minutes and 39 seconds without seeing his girlfriend. He's doing good now.
Yeah, I'm that was impressive. But what I'm saying is going back and watching it and knowing that Jam Jam won the season, it was very obvious. Like from the get-go, from even the preview, let's take a look at season 44 and what's coming up. We heard his confessional. I really believe that like we all know that Jeff Probst loves Jam Jam. And this was the telling of Jam Jam's story. And I agree with you. I do think there's winner edits, and this is one of the strongest ones. I think
Carolyn got a lot of edits too. I mean, we saw a lot.
She
of
did.
Carolyn.
It was Carolyn and Jam Jam and Carson. I mean, this Tika trio are going to go down. The Three Stooges are going to go down. I think it's one of the most memorable alliances in Survivor history. Like, I don't think you're going to remember season 44 for the season. You're going to remember it. Oh, that's the Three Stooges season. Yeah, I remember that. Those three are going to be remembered for a long time. And I mean, if you look at it, how do they rank up against some of the most iconic alliances in the game? Like compared to like the Black Widow brigades and stuff like that. Where does this alliance rank?
Coach had the most successful alliance.
Yeah, you got Coach, so South Pacific. You got the I-24. You got the FOA-404. You got the Black Widow Brigade.
Kim Spradlin, the One World, like the girls, yeah.
I think, well, 2 of the 3 made the final tribal council. We had, if Carson put some respect on Heidi's name, Heidi was the fastest person to make fire ever.
Yeah.
But if Carson knew how to make fire faster, I don't know. If there was a different way there, all 3 of them make the end. That's got to be one of the most iconic for like how fun they were to watch on TV, but also all 3 of them making the end. That's unheard of. That's crazy. And especially in recent seasons, we got to go back so far to see an alliance as iconic as this. I'm thinking back, maybe we got Cups or Us. We got Tony Sarah, season 40, sure, but that's 2 people, whatever. I don't know.
What my memory is terrible. I'm trying to think, was there a big alliance in Winners at War? You had like the new era.
They were so cutthroat in Winners Against War.
We just had pre-game alliances there. We just players doing their thing. The poker alliance, no, that doesn't count. I really think this has been the most memorable, and you're right there. I think that this season will be remembered for the Three Stooges, which maybe puts it higher up on my rankings. Thank you for making that point. I'm including this in my video review.
Oh man, go for it. I meant to you reached out to me on email about getting part of that review. I was interested and I meant to reach out, and I was at work at the time. I'm like, oh, I'll reach back out. And then before I knew it, it was I think it was the 19th when I looked back at it, and I went, shoot, he said the 18th. So if you still need someone, let me know. The nullified take says stronger alliance than Ty and Chicken Mark. In my opinion, I would say that lightly.
We got Ty, and we got this one right here. It's one, two.
Okay, Russell, we got to get your opinion here. We got a few more minutes with you here. Season 45 is coming up. Okay? First off, before we talk about the so-called maybe auction, what do you think about the logo? Are you a fan of it? Is it cheap? What do you think?
I'm pissed they didn't go with my logo. When I made my first Survivor 45 video, I got to include a logo that says 45 on it, for the clickbait, for the thumbnail. And I picked one, and I'm not going to lie, I think mine was pretty good as well.
Oh.
So Survivor, reach out. I do like it, I guess. I don't know. The red, it's cool. I have all the buffs for all the new era seasons.
I think it's the best one in my opinion.
No,
it's the
birds
one
on the
I
side.
like. I like the birds.
I'm saying the worst one is 42.
Yeah.
I don't like 42. The birds. We'll see what the birds mean for the season. The tribal council set of birds. That'd be so creepy. I don't know what we're going with that there.
Maybe it's like what's the word? Like an aver. I can't say it, but
that bird's not there in Australia.
they're just gonna have birds flying around. It's gonna be like a giant bird cage.
They're gonna have a real bird cage. Yeah,
that would be sick. Honestly,
at the auction, they're doing a bird cage, and there's gonna be a bird in there that can be the mascot, the pet for the tribe. Calling it right here. Clip this moment. That's what it's gonna be. No, I don't know. Like it's a Survivor logo. Yeah, new season of Survivor. I saw on Twitter. Omar's gonna be pissed off. Omar from Survivor 42. He loves birds, and his season didn't get any birds, so they should have reached out to him to come back for this season.
It would have been the perfect season, but then we have to get your opinion on this. Did you see it at the time? Because I missed it. And then I had to wait to hear about it on Twitter when people were like, oh, did you catch this moment? I just didn't think anything of it at the time. What was your reaction? And did you notice this immediately?
Well, if you don't want to ever go to Twitter to see all these hot takes and weird takes from the people on Twitter about these promos for the new seasons of Survivor, you can just go to Russell Muscle TV on the channel. I react to the promos directly after they happen. I watched the episode at 11 p.m. or finished it at 11 p.m. and I started recording my reaction to this promo right after. Yeah, I did notice. I put it out on Twitter. So waiting. Whoa, did we see the auction? I'm worried personally. I'm scared. Jeff's talked about it on his podcast, how audience, community, super fans, how do I bring the auction back? Because it got broken we all know the story. It was broken by advantages. People were holding on to their money. Me personally, I'm fine if we don't have any advantages at the auction. Let's just let the people eat food. That'd be cool.
I agree. Just have food on the line. There's no advantages. Let's just eat.
But knowing Jeff, he's not going to be able to hold himself back. He's going to want to put some advantage in this somewhere. And what's that mean? Are we going to say, is it going to be an auction full of advantages? Are we betting on, okay, guys, we got the knowledge is power. Who's got $200 here, $300 here? Who wants an extra vote? Is that what, or are you have to bid on the auction saying, I will, or maybe it's like a betting system or something. I'll wager one vote to get this item. I'm scared for all the weird new era possibilities that Jeff's talking to Mike White about making the auction full of advantages and no food. That's my fear.
I didn't even think about that. How Jeff could just no food. It's just a whole bunch of advantages. We kind of saw that this season when they went on the journey. And they had the control your vote, or not the control your vote. I'm sorry. It was like the bag your vote advantage. Then you had the inheritance advantage. And then who knows what would have been in Matt's bag if he wouldn't have lost both votes. So we know they love introducing a bunch of advantages into the game. So it could be that Abraham, this is a possibility. Russell might be on to something here.
Here's the thing about it is, man, food is the most important thing on the island. Let's bring back the food, and if you want to put a advantage in there, put one in there. But let it be one of those things. Let's say you get a sandwich and some chips, and in the paper towel is actually an advantage wrapped up as a fork. And something that you can conceal, walk away with, and nobody knows. To me, that's a true advantage. If everybody knows it now as a target put on your back, do you even want to take the advantage? Bring the food back, hide the advantage in one of the food meals, and let's play Survivor.
I agree.
Russell, before we let you go here, I have to ask, what are the off-season plans? Give us a little taste. What are you going to be doing this off-season? I know what you're doing because I've been invited to do something with you. But
yeah. Don't worry. We got plans all summer long. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Check me out on Russell Muscle TV. Right now, this next week, coming up soon, we got on Tuesday, the top 10 most iconic moments of Survivor 44. Coming out on Thursday, depending how busy I am, I'm going to a baseball game Wednesday night. We got my Survivor 44 review, where I'll finally have to decide where I'm ranking the season and with all the seasons overall. And then I got more. Don't worry. I got new videos, new edited videos, fully edited every single Tuesday and Thursday all summer long, or until I get burnt out. we'll see about that. But the big news, I don't even know if I've officially announced it yet, but Randy, I'm going to do it here on your podcast.
Woo!
We got, yes, hot take, boom, right here. Last year we did this, bringing together some Survivor content creators to all rank the seasons of Survivor, going from 1 to, it was a 42 at the time. But we are doing the exact same thing this season, going from 1 to 44, this time with the winners, ranking the winners from worst to best. Basically how it goes, if you rank the winner the worst, then they get 1 point. The very best winner, they get 44 points. I'm going to average everyone's out, and then we got the list. And then the idea is going into Survivor 45, we'll do 4 podcasts, 4 live streams, bringing in a panelist of all the content creators. And then we'll go going through worst to best, ranking them all. It's always a blast, always so much fun. And a little spoiler alert, me and Idled Out are both thinking about putting Chris Underwood as number 1, just to skew him up in the rankings. So that might be a lot of fun to talk about.
I actually love Chris Underwood's win. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't, but I think in Survivor, it's Survivor. Anything can happen. He stayed in the game. He fought. And, he put himself in fire. He was the first person to ever do that. Made a statement. I actually do like his win.
That was
And
wonderful.
I mean,
there you go. You, me, and Luke will do that.
it's going to be hot takes because maybe I put Marianne at 44 to kind of skew her rankings down a little bit.
A little bit of strategy with how you do the rankings.
Oh, man, it's going to be so much fun. Well, Russell, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. Your first ever time on the show. We got to collab again, man. I know we just talked about collabing, but I love your content, man. I am a huge fan now, and I watch it every week. Actually, on my drive, I'll turn the video on, and I'll just listen to it. So, awesome. Great content. Go check them out. And again, Russ, thank you so
Russell,
much,
good.
Man.
Hey, good to meet you again, man. I look forward to coming back to Toronto, too.
Yes, 100%. Sign the hat again. Why not?
Coming back.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, have a good night, man. All right, so that is Russell from Russell Muscle TV, a great guy.
I didn't even know that was the same guy from Toronto.
I mean,
he was so nice. I'm trying to picture where we had the conversation at now. You never know how to Bryson Wynn present who you gonna meet or who's gonna meet you. So
yeah, and they've got even more events coming up. Well, we just have 15 more minutes here. I mean, Abraham, this has been an incredible night. I mean, all the guests have brought it, their intel, their takes. It's been phenomenal. What have you taken away from this first ever 3-hour podcast, the longest podcast we've ever done on the show? Anthony just said right here, I enjoyed our conversations, Abe, and happy Memorial Day.
Man, same to you, Anthony, man. Good seeing you out there.
Thank you for saying that, because this is an ongoing thing. I just always forget the holidays. So, so happy Memorial Day, everybody. But Abraham, what did you take away from this, incredible night of speaking with, fellow podcasters, Nasir from Survivor? It's been fun.
It's always great to talk to Nasir, man. He's funny as all get. Y'all don't realize how funny Nasir is until you see him in person. It's like the picture behind me, man. I mean, it's family. It's a lot of people in the space, man, and we enjoy talking about Survivor. And it's all with a grain of salt. We all respect every player that goes out there and play the game, but also the people that cover the game. The people that analyze it with us and talk about it with us, and just keep the whole Survivor community going forward. So it's just a pleasure to be a part of it, man. It's been fun from day one. I'm laughing at that picture of David behind you because I'm like, where did he take that picture? So there are things like that, and seeing the cast and seeing the winners and seeing Omar behind me and seeing Mike in the picture and stuff, man, from previous seasons, just coming together to support season 44 and the next adventure that's coming up behind that one. It's just a pleasure to be a part of all this, man. It's just fun.
Oh, man, it is an honor. And the podcast continues to grow, Abraham. Like I said, we have a website now that you guys can go to, which I never thought I'd be saying that. SurvivorNowPodcast.com. You can apply to become a podcaster. I mean, Abraham, should people be applying to join the Survivor Now team?
Man, look, we have so much fun out here. But at least they can join a team that currently is not on your phone. Because when you first started, it was on your phone. So there was no graduation from the phone. So the podcast has continued to grow, but that's because of Randy Bruce. And we don't not only covers U.S. Survivor, we also cover Australia. We're also going to cover UK. We're also going to cover Africa when it comes back. And you get a chance to see and how they think about playing the game and what their strategies are and how they view voting and what's the relationships they try to build in their seasons. They're a little longer than ours. So it's an adventure 365, man, of just doing the Survivor deal and hanging out and enjoying what you're talking about. So I look forward to us adding somebody to the mix.
Well, yes. So definitely go apply. All you have to do is send in an application and then email survivornowpodcast@gmail.com a 2-minute video of you analyzing, breaking down a moment in Survivor history. We just want to see that you have what it takes to, share your opinions in a positive way. And maybe you'll get to be a part of this. Look at this picture.
What the? What was I doing?
That was Bryson.
Who took the picture of us taking a picture? Oh no, we was live.
We were on Instagram. So that's my girlfriend Taylor. And then obviously Abraham and I were on Instagram live, so you can kind of see the behind the scenes there. And the show is always evolving. We don't have a new logo. It's the same logo. It's still the torch, but we have now like a new backdrop for it. I don't know if you have an opinion on this, Abraham.
I love the backdrop. I love the development of the new image for the back.
Yeah,
it looks better than season 45's image.
But you still have the signature torch, and that's the thing, Abraham. I can't remember. I wish I had a picture of the old logo. We had an old logo, and then we rebranded. I said, Abraham, you think this looks nice? He's like, yeah, the new branding looks nice. I don't think we ever have to change again, Abraham, because this logo, the torch.
I think it's gonna be growth, man. I think you're gonna look at it and you're gonna be like, I can make it better.
You think we can make it better? I let us know what you think in the comments. I think this torch is now iconic. I think it's our symbol. Like, I think if we change it, it'd be like changing the Yankees jerseys.
Like I said, Randy's gonna make it better because I never do it. So I'm not gonna take credit for it. I comment on it. I just don't do it.
And then we have this picture one more time. We just have to. I threw this together last night when I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep because I was so sick. So I threw this together in about 10 minutes. But yeah, so let's just one more time give it up for the cast of season 44.
Do we have everybody?
Yeah, this is everybody right here.
Oh, because you counted Bruce. I had already X'd him out for this season. But yeah, if I count Bruce back in there, it is everybody.
Yeah, he's right here in the corner. So, and then you had Gargoyle Jeff up here in the. Oh, did you not see him? Yeah, up here, top left-hand corner.
You really were being creative on that one. Crazy.
Let me do the quick wrap up here. So, the content is not over. Well, our recap of season 44 is coming to an end. It is not over for you guys. So obviously, you can check us out on YouTube and Spotify. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. We really do appreciate it. On Spotify, if you're listening to this, make sure to leave us a rating. It really helps us grow the show, and we appreciate that as well. And then the finale episode for Survivor Social was recorded, I believe, a couple days ago. On Thursday, it would have been. Yeah, on Thursday. That is available now. You can listen to that on Spotify or check it out on YouTube. David and Tegwith give their opinions on how the season ended, and they do a deep dive into the final 3 castaways and their jury performance. So that is interesting. On Monday, Jack and Will be back for the Survivor 44 Stock Watch finale. That will be officially the last podcast recapping Survivor 44 as we bring this to an end here. I don't think there was anything else that I needed to show. I'm looking through. Oh, I got to shout out real fast. You can't really see it, but we did Survivor Fantasy with Bracketology this year. I was the official winner. Tegwith said it seemed a little bit rigged, but I'm just saying, you guys should pay more attention to the Survivor Fantasy Outlook. I give you guys the insight. I tell you who I think you should play. And I said for the finale, you should play Yam Yam and Carson. And they were the highest scorers. So I'm just saying you should listen to me a little bit more.
Randy got bad picks. Don't do that.
Jam officially added his name to the winner list as well. If you won the fantasy contest on Facebook, I can't remember your name off the top of my head, but if you won that, you know who you are. You will be getting your Katie Tedesco prize pack. I don't even know what's inside. And then you will also be getting, I don't know if I can find it here, an Eric Abraham trading card as well.
That's what I'm talking about. My own trading card.
Yeah, so you guys will get that if you won the Facebook competition. We will be doing fantasy again next year with even more prizes. We'll have a lot of prizes for you guys, so make sure to join in for the season 45 fantasy competition. What's coming up on the podcast? So we are in talks to have post-game interviews with much of the season 44 castaways. So be on the lookout. Our first one is scheduled for June 1st, so coming up this week, with Bruce from this season and season 45. I can't promise they're going to happen. They have to check in with CBS, make sure they can get approved to come on the podcast. But we are in talks to get them on, which would be the first time we've ever done post-game interviews. So looking forward to that. Make sure to turn on notifications for YouTube to make sure you get notified whenever we go live with the castaways. But Abraham, what's coming up for you, man? I mean, what is your summer looking like?
I will be heading over to Wyoming to hang out with one of my castmates, Brad. So we're going to be over on his ranch in Wyoming, middle part of June.
Okay.
And then I will be on vacation for about 2 weeks in Paris and London hanging out.
Woo.
I'm gonna take my Survivor 41 hat, see if anybody recognizes me, but who knows? And then we're gonna be back, man. I mean, by that time the season should be about to kick off. When does it kick off?
Usually September is when it kicks off.
September. So we're gonna look for some other seasons. And I'm just gonna relax and enjoy the summer, man.
That's what I mean. We are probably here at the Survivor Now podcast. We're probably gonna take a break. We're going to take a Survivor break. Like I said, we might have some post-game interviews for you guys periodically throughout June. I'm sorry, I got a cough drop. I shouldn't have done that because now I'm like talking with a cough drop. Sorry.
So you're just going to take that out like that. Okay.
Yeah. I shouldn't have done that because I started talking like this. So we'll have some post-game interviews for you guys. We do plan on doing some collabs with fellow podcasters, some of the people you saw here tonight. Special thanks to the Nullified Take, Escaping Reality Podcast, Speaking Llama, Russell Muscle TV, Nasir. We will put all the links to our fellow podcaster shows in the description, probably tomorrow-ish, so you can go on and check out their videos. They all create amazing content, and they are part of this giant Survivor community. Abraham, I'm shocked you didn't speak about your personal finance podcast that you're going to be selling.
Oh yeah, I'll be. Matter of fact, I got you lined up for an interview for Gen Z, and I'm doing a old school wealth management podcast. It's basically straightforward, talking about wealth management, building wealth in this current market, and but we're playing. We're just talking to people that work every day and doing things, and we're not going to be talking all over people's head and stuff. We're going to have some fun with it. I got some friends that work in the normal market, cybersecurity, nurses, doctors, lawyers, and we're going to have candid conversations about things you can do with your money, but we're old school. So we're not going to be trying to be like, hey, you can do that. No, either do this or be broke. That's it. We're going to keep it simple, but we're going to give you some good information. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be like the Randy Bruce conversation with me on it. We're going to have a great time because I'm interviewing Randy for the generation differences in how they view finances. That'll be coming to YouTube and they'll be coming to StreamYard. So I'm doing some things now, getting that set up. So we have some fun.
I just saw as well 4 people subscribed while we were doing this podcast. So if you're a new subscriber, thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the adventure. Abraham, we have about another minute here. Anything else you want to say about Survivor 44?
Hey, look, Survivor 44, like I said before, man, I've always said I enjoy the fact that production listens and they really continue to make the game and make the whole show better by making changes. I know some people like the changes, some people don't like the changes, but change is always going to be a good thing. And making sure we're still growing with Survivor. You know, we had 20 seasons of players, and now we are 20 years of playing now. Now we are on a new era, and we got these new players. And the thing I would do like is most of those players are sitting right behind me from 41 until 44. And it's been a pleasure just meeting them, seeing how they play the game versus how we play the game, because only we know what it felt like to be in this new era. But being the fans and seeing how you're enjoying this whole thing, this whole adventure that we're a part of. So it's been a blast, man. So I look forward. The promo for 45 looks like they was having a blast.
It's going to be fun. Let me take this opportunity, Abraham, to say thank you. Thank you for coming on and doing the show with me. And the show continues to grow, and I can't wait to see how it evolves as we head into season 45.
Next season.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. We have officially hit the 3-hour mark. Abraham, how are you? Are you good? We did it.
Well, give me a bowl of cereal.
Oh, man. Thank you guys for joining us. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you back for Survivor 45.
Have a good night.